Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones, and joining me this week, panelists Brad Ellis.
Hi.
Michael Damiani.
How's it going?
My 3DS loving co-moderator, Mr. Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
And making it all happen in the control room, Isla Hink.
Hey.
Hey. Distinguished guests, we are here to discuss some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. A lot of big games coming out over the next couple of months. But before we do that, we must first answer for all of the horrible mistakes we made last week. Isla, begin corrections music, please.
Boop.
Thank you. Abandoned, this is more of an update. Abandoned was delayed to August, their big app reveal, trailer reveal that we were talking about like the next day. We said we didn't know it was going to happen the next day. It didn't. Delayed to August. Survival was the S and L word that they were teasing.
It was
All things we did not know.
it was not Sesame Seed roll. Okay.
I said Street Fighter X Tekken once or twice. I apologize. I know it's cross Tekken. The Final Fantasy IX anime is not announced alongside Netflix. I completely invented that. I hope some people out there would sympathize why. I honestly think that was literally a mental, like it put the word Netflix on that tweet when I saw it.
Yeah, Netflix is all about anime that US people want to watch.
Bandai Namco reported earlier this year that Tales of Symphonia is the best-selling Tales game. So good for Tales of Symphonia.
Nice.
Aunt Jemima is now called the Pearl Milling Company. I searced my mind for a brand. It came up with Aunt Jemima. It happened to come up with a dead brand.
I mean,
Yeah,
I have a
it's
friend.
great.
That, I have a friend
Change
that wrote a song about it, so you know.
But I was actually enjoying pancakes between last podcast and this one, and like, I saw the thing. Should have known. From Chad Morton, regarding the Tekken discussion, Harada had stated part of the delay was due to the fact that they were developing Tekken Tag and Tekken 7 at the time. They'd already chosen the roster for Tekken Cross Street Fighter, but got busy with other projects, Tag and 7. Over time, it became finicky to go back to Tekken Cross Street Fighter so that it didn't overtake Tekken 7's place in the market. Fighting games are all about timing, after all, and keeping the community engaged over a long period of time. Doesn't have anything to do with the idea of seeming too vanilla. We're still talking about Street Fighter and Tekken, two of the biggest fighting games ever, but logistical issues on top of Capcom screwing up Street Fighter Cross Tekken with DLC characters being on disc and a wonky pay-to-win gem system that didn't help at all. Now they're probably focused on Tekken 8, and Capcom is most likely working on Street Fighter 6. Tekken Cross Street Fighter was also officially announced at Gamescom 2010 with promo art featuring Jin and Ryu. Thank you for that update. And corrections music, please. Thank you, Chad Morton. It is time to look ahead at the next 3 months of video games. And these are good months. These are very exciting. I think it was pretty easy for me to pick my top picks here, but I think there's a lot of quality coming at us. A lot of games we didn't know were launching in this time frame. Some of these games we didn't even know about during this time frame. Previously, we have called this segment Pop-Tarts and Toaster Strudels. For many reasons. I'm going to move on to something else. It just creates this really volatile, toxic discourse around breakfast food that I really just want this focused on, a lot of indie games people might not know about, the deep emotional impressions of games that we have here at Easy Allies over the next 3 months. So I'm changing it to, we'll see how this floats for the next 3 months, pre-order or disorder.
Oh.
So it doesn't mean you're not putting money on this, because we know pre-orders can be a sticky business, but you're pre-ordered in your mind. You are dialed into this game. The pre-order is what I want.
Pretty much never pre-order
I want that
anything
game.
these days.
I'm not expecting you to. But disorder means sums up. So there's something about that game I don't know, I don't trust. There's something strange. If you're thinking about maybe plopping down those pre-order bucks,
Got it.
I advise
I
you.
like it.
Oh,
Sorry.
man, he's
So-
pissed.
No, I had something popped in my head for a name thing for
For a
too.
third name or
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
pitch
Oh,
it.
okay.
Wish list or dismiss.
Wish list or dismiss.
So blood doesn't have to pre-order. You wish list something doesn't mean you're like, hey, there you go,
I
blood.
don't know if you wish lists either.
I know,
You might
probably-
just be.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
that
it
would
just
have to
be
be-
against
I
that
probably
whole
wish
thing.
list less than
Now
I pre-order.
we can do disorder.
It would have to be dismissed. Just so that
Wish
it ends.
list or
Dismissed.
Yeah, but I don't think we dismiss them. Disorder, I think,
Yeah.
is more. It does
is worry.
work a little bit better.
Disorder.
We don't really there will be some negative vibes no matter what. We're human beings, but we really want to be practical about all of this. We want to, some of these games we might have actually got to demo and other people haven't. Some of this stuff we've been maybe looking a little closer at than some consumers out there. So any help that we can do for people picking out what games they want to play for the next 3 months. Also want to point out this does not include most ports. Of course, I'm mentioning Skyward Sword, but most ports or re-releases are games that I just don't think are Madden, but it's stuff I don't think is relevant to this group. And of course, would love to know what you are excited about as well. So let us know what you were looking forward to. Pre-order or disorder. Here we go. Q3 2021 kicks off with July, which we are in right now. And next week on July 6th will be Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline. PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One.
I know Huber's into this.
Yes. Very into it.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because I thought he would just be into it purely just because of the lore stuff. But then as it got closer, he be reminded of other things he's got to play. But he still seems pretty fired up.
I think it's because he was burned by Watchdog Legion because the no main character or whatever whatsoever, and now you're Aiden Pierce, so he's back in.
And that other dude in there too.
There's
Wrench, right?
Yeah, a lot of old characters that I recognize from advertising, not from having played those games, but bumping into each other.
Oh yeah, the guy from two in there. Yeah, he's way in for that.
Which I think is interesting. It's a scary feeling because I'd rather have the Ghost of Tsushima going into Legends thing where it was like, this game's great, oh look more, rather than this game's not, I hope this saves it. I don't.
Good point.
There hasn't been many DLCs that I think have turned something around like that. But
Hey, I will
we've known
say
about it for a while.
The Dark Souls 2 DLCs are better than the main game.
They're so good.
It's possible.
Oh, you heard it here. Sam & Max, this time it's virtual, comes to PC VR on July 8th, which I feel bad about because I want to cover VR games, but I know I'm familiar with Sam & Max. I just have no experience with this franchise. It feels weird jumping into VR. They might be referencing stuff I don't know.
I've never played them, yeah.
Same.
Any history with Sam & Max?
No, it's the name you always hear through the decades, and he just never jumped into it.
I associate
never
them
touched
with
one.
Game Tap from commercials. I think that's about it.
Game Tap.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's great.
We'll see if they can make the pivotal jump from Game Tap to VR. Love Game Tap because that was GT. That was like all they were. We were always rivals against all the GTs back in the day. Black Skylands for PC. I am pulling this one out personally. This is on July 9th. This is an open world sandbox twin stick shooter with airships. You are just floating around islands. You're building your airship. You can actually attack with your airship. You have a little grappling hook you can use to jump around. It's fairly pixelated. There's not a lot of detail here. It's just blowing my mind. But it was like, like they a really cool thing when you bring up your little tablet when you're like upgrading things. You can see your little pixelated hand holding it, and a neat aesthetic. Something that stood out for me. Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin is on PC and Switch on July 9th. Got a fair amount of play from Nintendo this E3. Do you think that was just them doing due diligence because it's coming out soon, or do you think that push is going to do?
I think they think it's
good
going to
things?
sell pretty
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
it's one of their bigger summer titles.
Yeah, Rise did surprising sales, and I'm sure that they're looking for people to jump into that as well.
Yeah. The connectivity between the two games as well. I mean, I think it's going to be a big push for both of them as well. I don't know if it's already planned, but there should probably be a Rise update planned around then too, so everyone's just like has a reason to jump back into Monster Hunter.
Can't escape it.
Do you think if you were them, would you be scared? How much importance would you put on letting people know that this is not traditional Monster Hunter? Like this is an RPG. Obviously, it's a sequel. You might not get a chance to check out the first game if you haven't played on mobile or other, but
Feel like visually, the moment you see it, you know something's different.
True.
About it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's way
the
different.
characters just look.
I wish Rise looked like that game.
Well, that's kind of I was like, well, yeah. I wish it looked like that. It also ran well too. 'Cause I heard from the demo that Stories 2 might have some.
I'll play it on PC.
Yeah, there you go.
Play it on Steam.
Oh, that's right. There's a Steam version of
Yep.
that game.
Yeah, right away.
But
I'm
it's like way later, isn't it? Or
No,
is
I
it-
think it's
Is it day and date?
Oh,
I think it is
wow.
day and date. It's just people are probably going to go with the
Probably people
Switch
want the
version
crossover
because of the
stuff.
crossover. Because the Rise PC version's not till later.
Yep.
Curved Space is coming to Switch on July 13th. This is a twin stick shooter with like Super Mario Galaxy physics. You were like stuck on a platform and then you were like kind of rotating the whole platform around yourself and shooting and upgrading your ships, anything like
Can't
that.
picture it, but it sounds
Ring a
cool.
bell? All right.
Sounds cool, though.
I've looked at it. I haven't really checked it out, but yeah.
It looked very different from other games that I checked out. I was curious how it was had popped in front of somebody else's eyeballs.
Kind of like as it says, curved. So you're like zooming around, kind of floating above, like a ballish kind of arena, shooting other ships and stuff.
Labyrinth City, Pierre the Maze Detective is coming to Switch on July 15th.
Okay.
Anybody?
You got
That
me
sounds
on this
cute.
All right. It does sound cute, and it looks cute because it's like you're playing Where's Waldo. It's like, imagine if you were... I mean, not to bring up Hidden in Plain Sight, which is a new gem here at Easy Allies that we enjoy.
Yeah.
But it's
game's
kind of
awesome.
that vibe of you are just the tiniest little guy and just like wandering around an environment, and
Do
there's
they have races?
lots and lots of stuff going on. So yeah, curious about the specifics, but definitely one just visually that stands out. But
what
that's just on the Switch
We need
there.
an Among Us racing game.
Oh my god.
Do you hear that? If you're listening, please make that. I want that.
The next step.
What Among Us like crossovers have we had? Like, did Among Us come to Fall Guys?
I think
or?
so. There was Jeff Keighley mask or something, right?
And Among Us.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And I think a Ratchet mask.
I
or
don't
something?
know
Or
for sure whether Among Us and Fall Guys have did a
can't remember.
crossover yet.
it time.
Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game, which which you can get today. I think it's like early access today, but then comes out for everybody on the
Yeah.
15th. It's kind of strange. I
Hubert
tried real hard to
messaged
think of a
me
bet around Space
saying
Jam.
it's available right now.
Of course he did.
I was like, oh, really?
That'd be
Like,
fun.
dude, download it now. Let's go. I was like, I'm at the studio.
Yes, Among
This
Us
is any
had
side scroller
costumes.
beat him up. He's just
I
ready to
know.
go.
Among Us had costumes in Fall Guys. Yeah.
Nice. But this is Xbox console exclusive.
So this isn't like
I didn't know.
NBA Jam. It's a brawler.
This is Space Jam: A New Legacy. Yes, it is a brawler. It is starring Bugs, Lola Bunny, I guess, right?
Yeah.
They're back, yeah.
And LeBron, all with their unique abilities.
Wait, that's it? You can't be like Daffy or anything?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of like the Streets of Kamurocho.
So now
I think
it's
it's
more like-
just
Mm.
Michael Jordan in the Windy City.
yeah, and it apparently was like a contest. They like had it. They had like a younger group of people and an older group of people submit what they thought a Space Jam game should be, and then they took the idea of a beat 'em up from the younger crowd and like some of the mechanics that they used from the older crowd, and then put this game together. Digital Eclipse, I think, made it, but
Yeah. Actually, I saw Chris Kohler did some work on this. I don't know to what extent.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the buzz around Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's gonna be interesting to see Space Jam. F1 2021. Anything? Shall we move on?
I got
I just
nothing
looked at blood.
this year.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it.
Does it have a hot
Don't know what
seat
they're
mode?
doing. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That's on July 16th. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD comes to Switch on July 16th, and everyone who hasn't played it plays it, and then we can all come together on what we think of.
Disorder.
This is Damiani's
This is your disorder?
Wow.
This is my disorder.
All right.
Spill it.
I don't think Nintendo's done a very good job of marketing this game in terms of what's new about it. They did put out a recent trailer that kind of said like, oh, there's some quality of life changes that we haven't mentioned. Felt a little buried. I guess it's confirmed that Fi's messaging stuff has been toned down a little bit.
Yeah, like
yes.
when you pick up an item for the
Yeah.
35th time,
But I
and it tells you
mean,
what it is again.
it does. I'm sorry. The HD effort, like in the trailer, maybe it's just the trailers. It might look different in the game. It looks like the worst of the three efforts they've done to me. It does not look visually appealing to me anymore. It looks visually worse than the original one.
What, dude? Then the original looks so bad
Because,
now.
because it's cleaned up. I see how ugly the models and stuff look. I'm like, oh no, it looks blurry. It masks the models and stuff. Now it looks, oh no, those faces. I can't look at the faces now. I'm like,
I get it.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah. Oh, no,
dude.
Ooh, that's a low blow.
Even though it's not like gonna probably be the most used feature, gating a quality of life update behind a $25 physical amiibo that is sold out that people can't even get.
Yeah.
It's pretty scummy, and then charging full price for this effort. I was like,
Wait, what's stuck behind the amiibo?
So there's a fast travel system. You can warp from the surface
What?
to the. Yeah.
Spoof that amiibo, bro.
And that wasn't in the original game?
No,
No.
you had to go to specific spots to do it, but now you can do it from anywhere.
It didn't seem like a big deal when I think about it.
I-
but
yeah.
it's still annoying.
Also, it's my least favorite 3D Zelda game. One of my least favorite Zelda games. So
Does the amiibo unlock the ability to do it, or do you have to every
probably
time?
don't.
amiibo,
Yeah.
yeah, they have a video out that shows how it works.
60 frames though. It looks like the only Zelda that I'm aware of.
Yeah, like
Or
I'm not as down on Skyward Sword as some people. The two things that
Some people.
that really I don't care for with the game is, one, the opening's real slow. There's just a ton of dialogue before you actually get to go and do anything. And then two, just the demise fights, whacking the toes and all that.
Oh,
they go back to that well a little too many times.
I'm very curious they're going to leave in that line in the beginning about it's the 25th anniversary or whatever, because that's when the game originally came out. So,
right.
they had like a little speech there that was kind of like, hey, celebrate. And it's like, wait, it's not 20. They're going to say 35 years now? Yeah, maybe.
Some pretty cool dungeons and time stuff later on.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good stuff about the game for sure. And for people who haven't played it yet, it's nice to have a nice easy way to jump in and play it if you never had a chance. Just be in for a little bit of a culture shock if you got into the series with Breath of the Wild. This is like the most this is the antithesis of Breath of the Wild. This is probably the most linear 3D Zelda game in existence. So just be prepared.
Yeah, the world's very broken up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played this one, so I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I don't know what to expect or how to feel about it.
Just think of it like it's just very like zoned off in a way. Like you go from
zone to zone.
You've got the sky, but then like all the other
Nothing
places
there.
underneath like are sort of separated.
Oh, okay.
You can't climb everything.
Yeah, but you can sprint.
Oh, man.
Their stamina meter, it started here. Yeah.
But I would encourage everyone to at least give the motion controls a couple hours.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm playing with those,
yeah.
dude.
You should
Hell
definitely.
yeah.
worth it.
Yeah,
Hell
that was
yeah.
never a complaint of mine. Was the motion controls? In fact, I thought they worked very well. Yeah, if you have the means, definitely try playing it that way for the sword combat. It's the way it was meant to be played.
Whoa. I never thought I'd hear the day when you guys are all in favor of motion controls.
We spent more time talking about Skyward Sword, a remaster, than any of the games we've also discussed
It's
combined.
a Zelda game.
Well, we played it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Do you take is your take, Brad, most of the time that just like, hey, I'm glad I can play the Zelda game. This is gonna be great. Or
Yeah,
are
I
you
feel like
have you been burnt like
banging
Damiani?
on my knees, Nintendo, for just letting me play older Zelda games on modern hardware. So I'll take anything I can get at this point. I'm desperate.
Chris Tales, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia. It's on July 20th.
I think it'll be good.
I think it will be good. I think it'll be very interesting. It's a very distinct visual style. Obviously, very distinct mechanics. Seeing that world come together. It just was one thing. After I heard the premise, I was like, this is gonna be a tough thing to show more because you don't want to spoil things. And,
Right.
Hard to
Right.
really
I've actually
convey
been
how
in some
that works.
previews where they're like basically at the end, we're like, yeah, don't tell anybody about this stuff. I'm like, thanks.
Why'd you have a preview then?
That's funny.
Also, one of those games that I thought was, a gem and something that, again stood out and something that I was curious about how it was going to perform. But I was nervous that I wouldn't know when it came out. That was going to be one of those things that it kept popping
sure.
up at events and, maybe took a little bit longer with their marketing than I
I
expected.
think that the demo is still available. They had a Steam demo and maybe on some other platforms as well too. So if you want to give it a try and see how it plays, it's there.
And that's on old gen, new gen, PC, Switch, and Stadia. So they're not messing around. They want to get that game out to as many people as possible. So good luck to them. Also on July 20th, Death's Door.
Yay.
This game looks
That
cool.
game looks sweet, yeah. I don't know a ton about it, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I just did a preview. So if you're not check that preview out, go do that.
Not enough for that pre-order, though.
3 hours or so.
Excited, but
Yeah.
just not enough. Didn't bump up the
I
excitement.
mean, I'm excited about it. I would pre-order it, I guess. I'm going to play it.
We are playing it very soon, and we just found out about it just a little bit ago. Does
Yeah.
that feel like the kind of perfect amount of time?
For this kind of game, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think that you don't need to exhaust this over
Right.
months and years, and it's like, see it, looks cool, we're in, ready to go.
Last Stop comes out on July 22nd. Do you know what Last Stop is?
Vaguely.
I know that there's a train involved, and I know that Huber is down.
Yep. Another
But
Huber game.
beyond that, I feel like it's a little bit like personal stories and stuff like that.
When I was drafting it for this list, I was like, oh, Last Stop is one of those hitchhiker games. We're getting like 4 hitchhiker games,
Okay.
4 road trip games. It's one of those. It's not.
It's it's the
Those
creepy
are 4
like
separate games.
green lights one.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the green light eye like story game, where in one story 2 people like swap bodies and they're confused. In another story, a guy travels through dimensions thanks to another alien. But like green light is like a theme that runs through all of this.
Yeah, this one looks sick.
That's cool.
It does look interesting. I'm worried that it's so serious in its story and the character models are limited. Like they all generally, there's a style. They all look like each other. It just doesn't. It's kind of some of the issues I would run into in like the early Walking Dead games where I'm like, I'm so invested in this, but that character's arm looks weird. It just doesn't. It's. I think when you have somewhat of a mature subject matter, it can be a little rough having kind of simplified looking character designs. But hopefully hopefully they pull that story off. And it's just funny. Like the moment I just added green light to it, I was like, that game. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles / Adventures, both of those on PS4, PC, and Switch on July 27th.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there's another one coming out at the same time. They've been focusing on Great Ace Attorney.
Right. What do you mean, Chronicles and Adventures, or there's another Ace Attorney coming out?
I thought there were 2 games on that same day.
No.
2 collections.
It's just the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and the Great Ace Attorney.
The original were
that's
2
why.
releases.
Okay.
And they're together now. Yeah.
Do we think this will find a fun new audience, or do you think this is just kind of a handout? Or
I think it'll do pretty well. Yeah.
I think it'll do all right. I think it's going to appeal to fans that are already there. I don't think it's going to bring in a lot of new people. I think it feels a little bit niche in that sense. It feels kind of like Famicom Detective Clubs. Like people that like those kinds of games maybe will hop in, but it's in a large part it's for people that are already familiar with Ace Attorney and that style and that kind of humor.
The Herlock Sholmes meme could drive some people to it, I think.
they'll pick that up.
You might see a lot
That's
on
evergreen.
social media. And
That's evergreen.
Everyone's just be like, wait,
Yeah.
where'd that come from? Oh, this game? Oh, it's on Switch? Yo,
Yeah.
I like Switch games. I'll check it out.
Right. Somebody could like misspell it on social media, and their friend is like, actually, it's funny you bring that up because here's this Switch game. Samurai Warriors 5. PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC, and Switch on July 27th. I believe Switch was the first console that told me about this game, right? Did they announce it, or was
I
that?
want to say you're right, but I don't remember all the details.
I remember in some direct them really blowing it out, and remember thinking it was maybe a little more cartoony than previous Samurai Warriors games.
Samurai Warriors. If it was Dynasty Warriors.
Oh, then they.
Ooh.
Just because of that Netflix movie. I was like, I want to play Dynasty, like a real Dynasty Warriors now. I want Lubu. Let's go.
Brad, Neo, the world ends with you, not the end worlds with you.
Right.
Comes out on PS4 and Switch.
That's
July
my
27th.
pre-order, baby.
All right.
That's my pre-order.
I gotta play that demo.
I never thought this series would ever come back in any shape or form. Then we got him in Kingdom Hearts. Then we got the Switch port, and now we're getting a sequel, baby. And I'm so hyped to check this out. It was such a unique game back on the day on DS and how it played, and the setting and like the combat. So I'm really curious to see how they're gonna implement it into not dual screen anymore, because that was super important in the original.
Yeah.
I know the demo's out. I haven't played it. I'm just waiting until I can get my hands on the full game. But I'm super excited for this.
Is it an excitement where you were locked in even before you really knew about mechanics or anything? You're just like, holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we know about just the team, like the people working on this? Is just like a whole new.
I mean, I think he's just a character design mostly
Oh,
on
okay.
this. But I mean, I haven't dove into this game a ton yet. But it was one of those games I just saw and I was immediately like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that and play that. No question.
Where your expectations set based on the first one? Do you think first one's like, is it aged well in a sense where they need, they don't need to do a lot? It ain't broke, so don't fix
I mean,
it's
gonna be different just because it's not a dual screen, and that was so integral to the original. So
It's like you're literally
Yeah.
doing one thing with
With
this
one-
hand on
yeah.
the D-pad and another
And
thing with the
you're
stylus
watching two screens at one
with
time.
two different
so,
characters. Yeah.
I mean, I have the expectation it's gonna be quite different, but I'm okay with that. So I'm in, baby.
I like that. The excitement, but the trust. That feels good. Tribes of Midgard, PC, PS5, and PS4 on July 27th. It's not my pre-order, but I'm excited about this. This is interesting as it reminds me of Drake's Hollow, which I mentioned like a week or two back, which was I am a fan of like you have this spot and you got to go over there to get a thing to make this spot stronger. And then once it's stronger, you can defend it and go farther to get more stuff. Like I'm pretty easily susceptible to models like that. There's something about Drake's Hollow that there was like a gliding system that was really cool that you could like set points and then actually like rail grind them back to where you needed to go.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, obviously, that Valheim is making such a gigantic splash this year, and then here comes this game that has kind of some of the same trappings, but is much more of a survival thing. And there's just something about the aesthetic that I don't know is maybe a little too cartoony. Is not like the action doesn't really like have a lot of impact for me compared to maybe other action games that I'm looking for around the same time. So it's like this is something that I'm gonna be addicted to and probably stop playing pretty quickly. But I'm definitely curious to check it out. And is another one of those things like that I was not familiar with. Again, like Death's Door, that just all of a sudden surfaced at E3, at least for me. So Tribes of Midgard, curious to check it out. Chernobylite really made a push during E3. Chernobylite was something that I saw come up often, and much like cat games, which we'll get into, which were featured pretty prominently, I thought, during E3, is a sci-fi survival FPS that takes place obviously in the ruins of Chernobyl that is in Russia. You are going through radiated areas, shooting monsters.
Very Stalker vibes.
Metro
vibes. Yeah.
Did the pushing interest anyone? Did anybody? I actually digging into that for this podcast. Kind of learned a little bit more about it than all of their attempts to get it in front of my face during E3. Was this a name that stood out at all?
I think the pushing. I think it was too much. I'm tired of this game. I'm stop talking about Chernobylite. It's fine.
It's an easy name to remember.
Right. But it's it feels like one of those things where it's you're going to get that crowd, the people who like Tarkov and Stalker and whatever. And I've heard of it. Maybe I'll check it out, but I don't need to see 300, things about it. I don't know.
It's tough. I think the argument is always just advertise yourself just as much as you possibly can. There's no such thing as too much advertising. That is definitely a lesson I've heard many people say. But this, from digging in and looking at more of it, there's actually a lot more kind of the medium-esque psychological elements to this, lots of dreams, lots of what is reality, lots of live action, sequences of
live action.
Right. Okay. I guess there's a woman you're trying to find or somebody from your memory that's calling out to you, and that was, at least in the trailer, was live action. I don't know how that plays out in the game, but not just, again, if you're looking at Stalker and then just kind of lumping all these things onto that, it's definitely much more of a horror vibes and I'm losing my mind vibes, which I don't think necessarily Stalker or other stuff like that we'll get into. The Ascent I know you know about. Why, that's coming exclusively to Xbox Series X and Xbox One. Phil Spencer mentioned it on stage.
I don't remember it.
The Ascent. This is a twin-stick shooter. It's sci-fi.
Right.
Lots of big lights, lots
That
of big
game.
explosions.
Yeah. I'd play with
When
you.
Phil Spencer mentioned it sounded
what's the date?
we should know. That is July 19th. July 29th, sorry.
29th. Okay.
Oh.
Little co-op action.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Is this something that scratches a very particular itch, and so it's something that Phil Spencer can very much be we got this is exclusive Xbox, we're really proud of it, or does it seem just something that kind of a direct action game seem kind of a weird thing to put up in the same vein as
no, I think you need a little mixing up of things for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have stuff that you can play together. Go around shooting and looting and checking that world out.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's worth a shot for a few hours at the very least.
It's on Game Pass, I think, too. So
most of the
easy
things.
Entry.
Most of
If
the
I
things,
if I say the word Xbox,
Yep.
There's
Easy
in that
entry.
conference, there's a pretty good chance it's
it's not far behind. Watching a developer diary of it, two things that stood out to me. One, the lighting in that game is very pretty. There's a lot. It's something. You look at a lot of rusted, rain-soaked environments. We've seen a fair amount of those, and just kind of a generic action twin stick gameplay that we're familiar with. But a lot of story beats. There were moments in a 15-minute gameplay video I saw of him just actually the character walking through areas and talking to NPCs, and kind of actually had Ratchet vibes because the environment was a little bit similar. It was very nighttime, rain-soaked, lots of neon.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that can work for or against it. It really just depends on how well that story is written and delivered. It can either be something where you go in with your friends and you're like, all right, skip.
Yep.
Or that could be the thing that actually hooks you and differentiates it from so many other games that are similar.
think the dev at the time, he was like, see, it's not just shooty. And I'm like, well,
Good phrase.
some people might be
I
paying
like
for that.
shooty.
We'll see,
Yeah.
yeah. Nothing wrong.
Put it on the box.
A little bit of slashy with Eldest Souls. Excuse me.
Whoa.
Boy, don't know why I was about to
Yikes.
make that mistake. PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on July 29th. I didn't know this was a thing that people could play. I think this was the first time I maybe had seen Eldest Souls. But Isla, you
Really?
said that.
I played it at an E3 or a PAX or something like
You played it in E3.
4 or 5 years ago.
Ah,
Yeah, it
Nice.
was 3
Person
4
Blood
years ago.
remembers.
You better have.
At the time, I mean, like, hopefully they've polished it up a little bit. At the time, like, the camera angle was a little weird. You'd get blocked by the, like, foreground elements and stuff. So it seemed a little, rough around the edges. But, I mean, that was years ago. So I
Yeah.
think they've probably ironed all that stuff out. I
wanna
just,
say
like,
that's
people need to cool it with the names on these Souls-like
Yeah.
games. Like, you can be a Souls-like. Don't put Elden, Eldest, Elder, or Souls in your name. Just cut it out.
I do think that Eldest Souls might have been announced before Elden Ring,
I'll look into it.
but I'm not
Ah.
100% sure. But I think you saw that in the same appointment that you saw Roki.
Correct.
I mean, if
Nice.
you put Souls in your name,
Yeah.
everyone's going to immediately
Right.
think FromSoft.
Yeah.
That
They
preview
knew what they were
scheduling
doing.
retention, Blood. I'm impressed. But yeah, that's pixelated. You got a protagonist with a red cape and a sword, a little bullet hell. Project Warlock 2 is on PC on also on July 29th, and this just stood out for me from stuff that I was looking at because it's like basically Doom but with spells. So like imagine Doom, but you are you got like arrows and crossbows and stuff. And
Yeah,
you freeze a
this
bunch
game
of
looked kinda
dudes
cool.
and then blow them up after that. And I'm not familiar at all with Project Warlock 1, but I imagine there might be some listeners of this podcast that are like, wait a minute, I like that genre. Little Devil Inside was supposed to come out in July.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
Still
that's happening.
TBA. So yeah.
I'm really
No
curious
way.
about this game.
We would have heard more by now, I'm pretty sure.
And I reached out to your allies because I had a couple of people reached out on Cup of Jones and said, we'd love to hear when you do your preview, previously Pop-Tarts and Toaster Strudels, now name pending. We'll see how this one goes. I'll see the comments next week. Reached out to the other allies, and Ben got back to me with his pre-order and his disorder. And Pokemon Unite was originally scheduled for July. Don't know if that's happening. That is the Pokemon MOBA.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh,
Pokemon
yeah.
Unite.
I think it's coming out in 2 different parts. It's coming to one platform first and the other, I think.
was it switching mobile?
Switching mobile, I think? Or am I have it backwards, maybe? I don't know.
It
but
is
I
coming
know
to
what
both
that
of those
is.
platforms.
Yeah.
And it was originally scheduled for
And
July.
it's garbage.
And
yeah.
Ben said, quote, a Pokemon MOBA is something nobody wants. It is
Correct.
a waste of everyone's time.
Good.
Wasn't there a DC MOBA
Thank you, Ben.
at one point?
Oh,
Not even.
probably. I think there was a Marvel MOBA, actually. But and that is July. That is the month that we are in. This is August. In Sound Mind is on August 3rd.
It's my pre-order.
Oh, wow.
That's fascinating because I was like, I want to put this on the list just from this trailer, it's just really standing out to me. It's a very like Alan Wake-ish, wild-looking nightmare horror first-person game. Yeah.
Yeah. The funny
Take it
thing
away.
is, I wanted to like really watch back over my preview last year because I played it last year and previewed it then, but I've forgotten a lot of the details at this point. But yeah, I remember liking it. I remember liking the puzzles. I remember being curious about some of the things. It would have some of those moments where you'd like look one direction and something would be there. You look away, you look back, and then it would be somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, okay. And yeah, I remember there being like 2 kind of different aspects of it. Like one where you're like exploring like this creepy hospital, and then another where you get transported to these sort of semi-otherworldly places that were based on memories or something, or case files, something like that. And so the first one of those, you're like exploring like this abandoned grocery store and learning about what all went on there.
Do you remember shooting a lot? There's like a little.
There's a
it was,
little
like,
bit of
mostly
shooting.
creepy looking
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and then like every 10 seconds or so, you'd fire a pistol, and it's like, oh, I wonder how many weapons are in this, or if that's not really.
I don't think
big
there'd
part of
be in the sense of there being a lot of weapons, but there was a bit of combat in there for sure.
I got to dig in. I was not expecting this pre-order. I'm sorry. This is fascinating.
I don't know if I've got enough to dig in. I just
Well,
remember like.
because another note that I made that
to it.
I feel bad because there's such a distinct visual style to this game, and when I see something else, I can't help but make the connection. But it kind of looks like something made in Dreams, which is not a bad thing, but it looks. I want to try to find a kinder word than simplistic. There's not a ton of detail to the environments because everything's very shadowy. There's a lot of stuff coming out of darkness, but like you were saying, at the same time, there was a lot of speed in which that they would like teleport you to weird environments or make very strange things happen. I remember there was one shot where he was looking out at a forest and there were like little trees in the background that just kind of like fell into the earth. And so just like, I'm not like, oh my goodness, that looks like a totally realistic forest. But it was just enough detail, just enough depth to make lots of spooky things. And just gave me that Alan Wake vibe of me like going through a forest at night, like, what the hell is that thing? Like, so we'll see. Lemnis Gate. PC,
Lemnis
PS5,
bread.
Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox.
Limbus.
Where's the Lemnis bread? On August 3rd. Some tie-in. They have to,
Yeah,
right?
they
That's got to be the crossover we're waiting for.
This game looks kind of cool, but
It looks extremely
I
cool.
worry that it will die on the vine. I don't know.
Yeah, multiplayer stuff with weird, crazy mechanics is difficult.
Near as I can tell, both Elden Ring and Eldest Souls were at E3 2019.
Yeah.
Kind of tough to tell because you search for Eldest Souls and you get everything but it. But
Damn.
That's what's doing the extra research on some of these things. A game like Abandoned or something. Like, I can't just Google that. I got like add all the
Right.
Right,
Control was really bad about that.
Hey,
right.
Especially
Control
if you're
video game.
right. Especially if you're trying to,
Lemnis Gate. Yeah, for those that are not familiar with Lemnis Gate, this is like you do a thing, your opponent does a thing, you now do another thing, but that first thing you did's still happening. So you have to account, okay, if he's running down that platform, can I boost him? Can I maybe get in the way of my opponents? And it sounds so fascinating, but is so confusing to explain. Like that's as much as I'll do.
it's a turn-based first-person shooter.
Multiplayer first-person
Yeah.
shooter, yeah. And so I'm worried that it's fascinating, and we'll probably find a group of people that really really like it. But it's just so hard to explain, so hard to sell, so hard to show. Even if I watch like a long chunk of it, I feel that like I'm not really gonna feel the magic of this unless I'm playing it myself. So. Could see maybe like something that would be on Gold or PS Plus or something in the future where people are like, oh, check it out, and then like, oh my good, all of a sudden, maybe like a year or two down the road, it just like resurfaces again. It's like now everyone's actually checking it out. But
Yeah.
so that's fascinating. And there's another game that's like the same thing that I cannot remember. That's also coming soon.
Oh God, yeah. What is that called?
That trailer that just came out for the Grounded game. This whole other team has been working this whole time on this game where you are running through leaves and riding, bugs.
Quantum League, I think.
Yeah, just
Is the other
Yeah,
one?
Quantum League's the other one you're thinking of. I'm not sure what the grounded connection is.
I don't
though.
know what you're talking about.
A different game.
the game that you just said, Isla, is very similar to Lemnis Gate. I'm sure both those teams are like, what are you gonna do? We'll see. We'll see. May the best game win. And the Grounded's kind of in the same position where this other team came along and they're like, Grounded just came first, but we're doing basically the same thing they're doing.
Okay.
You can run around a yard and build a house, and oh well. Like did the success of Grounded help them or hurt them? We'll see. Starmancer comes to PC on August 5th. This is a sprite-based isometric, which in the past I've used that word incorrectly, Blood. I believe I'm using it correctly here. Space Station Sim, slight FTL vibes. You remember this one? Tell me, Starmancer. You do lots of customization. You were just at an angle looking at this ship and going across the galaxy, making friends, doing missions.
I know I've seen this, but I'm still drawing a blank.
Yeah, this is a funny one because okay, cool.
Starmancer.
I know I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Chucklefish, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Little
this
pixel
one.
vibes and just lots of customization with the tiles and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you can just have enemies come in and trash up your base and stuff. I just try to hook Damiani away from the FTL. I'm gonna keep trying to find that one game.
It's simplicity, man.
Right.
That even just looking at that its trailer, what it looks like, immediately it just looks more complicated. Even though it's not complicated, it's just like that's enough to set you apart for something from an FTL for someone like me. I just like that click, click, click. Oh, we're done. We're going.
Damiani beat FTL just before we shot
Oh,
today's
really?
podcast.
I did not bring in my Switch for this week's bet. Shout out to Isla Hank, who had her Switch here, and I used walk into the control room to ask Damiani if he had his Nintendo Switch, something I thought was a guarantee. He turned to me while playing FTL and said, "No, I got
Nope.
Look, I have everything I need right here." Book of Travels comes to PC. A lot of PC games lining up here on August 9th. Book of Travels.
This game looks sick.
This game looks insane.
Yeah,
I don't know if I heard about this. I was just doing research on all these things.
We'd seen trailers a while ago, and then the hashtagonist is excited about it.
This is a beautifully hand-drawn world. So this is you can move left, right, and in the foreground and the background, but the camera's always locked in the same spot. And so everything in the environment is 2D, but you're moving in it in a 3D environment, and it's not like something like Don't Starve, where it's like everything kind of sticks out like little pieces of cardboard. This just looks like you're going through a painting. It's crazy.
Cool.
And I saw a long demo of it. The guy, it was really hard to lock down specifically what was going on. They call it a 2D, quote, online RPG. I'm guessing you're maybe bumping into other people, kind of journey style, that are going through this world. Apparently it's open world. You can just kind of go anywhere and do what you want. He turned into a deer at one point. I was just like, what? It just, yeah. I don't have a lot of mechanics to go through, but just visually, it really stood out to me. So
Yeah, it seems like you're your own unique character, and you set your own goals. You do this kind of adventure. You can group together with people or not. You go on all kinds of weird things. It reminds me of a much more gamified. There was a game called The Forest by I think Tale of Tales. Not the forest you're thinking of, not the scary one, but the one where you play as a deer. Or Eternal Forest, something. It's by Tale of Tales. But it was light MMO, and you're all just deer, and you can kind of just do whatever.
Okay.
Except, obviously, this is way more advanced than that, but I don't know. It looks crazy.
but extremely chill at the same time. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like there were a lot of systems in there, but the developer kept saying throughout the video, just go and do what you want. I'm like, oh, okay. A lot going on. Icarus comes to PC on August 11th. I bring this here because, just personally, these are hunter-gatherer astronauts. So this is a survival game, and what cracks me up about this game is, you playing Valheim, you're playing other games. It's a lot about, you and the elements. These are specifically astronauts that have crashed on this planet. They're looking to take off in his multiplayer, and they all have bows and arrows. And I love bows and arrows, but I don't know if I've ever seen astronauts with bows and arrows.
There you
It's
go.
a very strange aesthetic.
Yeah.
Of literally like the No Man's Sky helmet, and just this extremely future tech helmet with literally one of the first ranged weapons ever created. Not that we need more survival games where you build forts and all sorts of stuff, but Icarus looks interesting to me. Speaking of games we might have seen a little too much of at E3, did we see too much of Naraka Blade Point,
Oh, Naraka.
Yes.
which is coming to PC
Had a beta
on August
too.
12th?
Yeah, I'd say I had enough.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't necessarily there was too much, except it was just they had their own thing, and then they were right at the start of another conference, and I think a lot of the shots were reused, and it was one of those things where they're trying to catch two different audiences, and so if you saw both, it was well, I've seen this already. Yeah.
It's an interesting strategy, I think, when people come to something as big as E3 and think that people only watch one press conference. It's an interesting strategy. There's we can be in multiple press conferences with the same trailer, because it's a whole different audience that's going to be watching that press conference, especially for something like Naraka Blade Point, which is live now, right? This is just coming to the US, the game, and trying to find...
something on Steam you could play at the time.
Yeah.
I think they've had some betas and,
I had it
and stuff,
installed
but I
and
don't think
played
it's
it at one point.
They were
Oh,
touting their
someone
betas that they had 488,000 concurrent beta test players or
Yeah.
something.
Oh yeah, that made such a big deal about that. Yeah.
It just seems like a bizarre game, like you were saying, Blood, to run out of footage. To bring
Sure.
bring 4 minutes of B-roll to E3
Right.
was surprising to me. But lots of flipping and slashing. Definitely curious to check it out, but not sure if I'll have the time. Skatebird, PC, Xbox One, and Switch,
Got a real date, huh? Nice.
August 12th.
Yeah, curious about this game.
Still,
Yeah.
how's Skatebird
Yeah.
doing?
I mean, my expectations are set with this game. I don't expect crazy skateboarding or anything like that. I mean, you are a bird, for God's sakes, I guess.
Yeah. But I feel a little bad because this is a game 10 seconds in, you're like, cool. And then you're just kind of locked into
Totally
that
get that.
mental state.
Yep.
And it's real hard to do anything with it, I
Yep,
think.
I get that, yeah.
I don't envy them trying to put the marketing together for
I
this.
think it's just funny skating around in everyday environments where you're a tiny bird. It's just weird, and I'm into it.
Humankind, another very, very difficult game to search for on Google. Comes to PC and Stadia, August 17th. This is Sega Publishing, Amplitude developing. Tons of press. Humankind has spent a lot of money on its marketing. And I was always curious if it'd come out. Like, whenever I would see, like, the logo, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that game hasn't come out yet. Seems obviously tailored for Civ fans.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you are putting a lot into a civilization and building it and going in all sorts of different crazy directions. I imagine this is going to find the audience a great amount of people who know what it's going to be. I just wonder if all of the money, live action trailers, CG cutscenes, like all the money that was poured into this, if it's really going to pay off.
I wonder. This feels like their like Total War kind of thing, how they're involved with that. Where I don't think about it very often, but I know it's just quietly doing very well for them because they just keep making more and more of them all the time. Like there's DLC coming out for the Total War 2, then there's Total War 3 they just announced. Like they're doing fine, I guess. So.
Oh, you mean
Warhammer?
Sega? Yeah. Sega just being involved in this. Like I think they're just trying to capture that side too.
It was a bummer because I went to the official website and I was like, please, I'm a podcast host. Give me the pit. Because I from all the stuff I've seen of Humankind, I'm like, great, it looks like Civ. I haven't dug in deeper than that. And I tried on the website. I was like, please just give me that killer quote. Just that thing where they were like, Civ's great, but, and it was all just like, yay. This genre. I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure specifically what, again, for somebody who.
Right. There's another one that's
does not dabble
either
in the
just
genre a
coming out or about to come out called like Old World. Like you have New World coming out and Old World, but Old World is entirely like a 4X like strategy game. So
12 minutes.
Yeah, that's my pre-order, baby.
Another game that can't have long trailers. You can't.
right.
They can't tell you what of anything is going to happen in this
Can't
game.
show that game. I don't know how we're gonna cover it.
There's just lots of grabbing of shoulders. There's lots of slapping. There's lots of, hey, you, get out of my living room. There's just a lot. That's what I call this game. Isla.
Yeah.
Why is it tip top?
I'm just really excited for it. I think that it'll, I'm always kind of interested in stuff that merges kind of more cinematic kind of elements with gaming. And I think I haven't seen a top-down, really like story-based game like this tackle quite this kind of story framing, like the time loop thing. I mean, Sexy Brutalis top-down and sort of does that, but I don't know. This just seems like a little indie film to me. It seems intimate and interesting, and it's got Willem Dafoe and Daisy Ridley, and like, it just seems really neat, and I like the art style. Yeah, it just seems cool.
Isla, you might know this. Is there actually any real live-action film that's shot top-down the entirety of the film?
Oh, wow, that's a fun idea.
Sorry, you
That
just
would
bring
be
that up,
funny.
made me think about that. I was like, wait, does that actually exist?
I mean, there are some famous shots, like Fincher's done some famous top-down shots, but like not a lot. 30 Days of a Night has a really good shot, but no, I think it would be annoying to watch a whole movie.
like a short film, be a nice experiment, I think.
People have done the first-person thing, like
Yeah.
Henry or whatever, and Maniac or whatever.
This was a cool game before all those actors got involved.
Yeah.
Very
And
true.
sometimes I kind of get afraid if like, oh no, they're hanging their whole franchise in some weird celebrity or some weird tie-in or something. This, I was like, yeah, this seems like something where you would want to bring in. There's only 3 people, from what I can tell, in this game. Like you really want,
Sure.
to get good talent.
We were recently on the Soundtrack Club discussion talking about Outer Wilds, and so I really am curious, because there's a time loop in this, how many similarities there might find, because it does feel like unraveling a puzzle.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious if, like Outer Wilds, once you've gotten all the knowledge, if you could just like pick up a completely fresh save file and just finish it, or if there is kind of a progression that ends up playing out.
That's
that
a really
you have
good
to
point.
go through.
Yeah, that's a curiosity I have too. Yeah, like, is this just a linear story game and you play it and you're done, or is it, like, if you know where to stand and which cup to pick up, like, you could save your wife or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
And is that the
Or the
only
cup.
thing to do?
Right.
Or additional endings?
Save that cup. That's what
cup.
matters.
Loot drops.
Have they talked about how long we can expect this game to be? How long are we
It's 12
expecting
minutes.
it to be?
12 minutes, yeah.
Oh, didn't they say? I thought they said it.
You know, I didn't even think of that, Joe. I walked right into that. Like a low door framed.
We made that joke to me.
Brutal.
20 hours.
Oh, keep doing it.
Really?
It says 20 hours. Yeah.
Whoa.
Almost.
Whoa. This would seem like a hard game to put down. Because it seems like you would really want to pick up on a lot. There's little tiny visual cues, little tiny lines, stuff that's even interrupted. I imagine like Willem Dafoe will like almost say something, and you're like, wait, oh, and then like a day later, I might forget half of that stuff. So
That's according to Game Rant. 20 hours seems crazy
That
long.
does seem crazy.
That's
to us.
very long.
That doesn't
Yeah.
seem right.
Huh.
I could see like a 6 on the high end.
On August 24th,
Accepted.
recently dated, August 24th, Aliens Fire Team Elite, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One.
Is this first person?
No, this is third person, baby. This is my disorder. Only because, and here's the thing about disorder. Because I just think I got this game's number. I think the moment I saw this, I was like, oh, I know what this is. People are going to buy this with way too high expectations. Like, people are going to buy this and being like, oh, neat. No, it's like a whole new chapter. And this is going to be an extremely repetitive, you're going to be going down hallway after hallway after hallway. The sound effects are going to be like largely the same. It's going to be really interesting enemy types. I think that's going to be the surprising thing when you see how this stuff moves. But I can't expect this to be any more interesting than Predator was. And I know how long that zeitgeist
So I was
was.
gonna ask, which is the more intriguing? to you
I think
now?
even
Yeah.
Predator. I mean, you can't play as aliens. You're literally just the
Right.
the
You
fire
don't think
team.
that people have learned their lesson though? I feel like collectively society has learned. We've learned our lesson on alien games. Like
Yeah, there's been like
They're just
what,
not
one
gonna be
good
good.
one
Well,
in
but-
a long time.
But see, that's why I think this is actually is the best. It's interesting because some like Aliens, one of my favorite films of all time. But like some movie franchises just don't. They don't work unless you really figure out something like Isolation, like a really clever idea, something like Arkham Asylum, or really like take it, all the way into the end zone, like Insomniac did with Spider-Man. And there's something about Aliens where I'm like, yeah, just 3 randos running through a hallway blasting stuff feels right. Like it doesn't. I don't need to really know like where they came from. Like I don't really need to know like what bureaucrats screwed up so the aliens storm. It's fine. Like I just want to
shoot some
I
aliens.
just want to see it on my sensor, know that it's 50 yards away, get ready, have like where's Huber? He left. Like he's done, he's upstairs. He hasn't
I
even
don't
come
know,
down the
Jones.
elevator yet.
I feel like you've got to have the like capitalism is the real bad guy revelation like 70% of the way through for a real alien franchise thing.
That's the trick for an aliens movie, for an aliens story. And I've read a lot of aliens comics. It's just something about it, like a multiplayer game. I'm like, yeah, you don't. I literally just want
Maybe they'll do a meta narrative
the gun's
thing
got to
where,
sound away.
where the microtransactions will just be so egregious that they'll be like, no, but that's part of the story. Like you're getting screwed by capitalism.
The funny thing to me about this kind of game is the idea that these guys will just survive and mow down, dozens, if not hundreds of them, the aliens. And I almost feel like it would be more appropriate to have like, was it like Perfect Dark, where you're like the counter operative mode, where one player like they got shot down, but then they just went into another NPC.
Yes.
I feel like that would make more sense. To where like you get shot down, you go into a different marine.
Oh, sure.
Somewhere else. Maybe you're in reserves. Maybe you're on a different point of the map or whatever, and you got to find your way back to where the squad was going. But like,
How hard an alien to kill varies pretty wildly between the movies. Like,
And you're also kind of getting into AVP territory
Yeah.
where like they have dabbled with stuff like that before. So
Man.
I would love it. Kana Bridge of Spirits. Kana.
I'm surprised it's actually coming out that quick.
August 24th. PC, PS5, and PS4.
I think everyone's gonna play this.
I'm interested.
I'm a little worried, but it's not my
Little
decision.
Yeah.
slightly worried, but I'm interested.
Some
Well, I'm a
concerns
little worried
help
because we
keeping
got to
it
be
from
worried
being
about
my
something,
pre-order.
right?
Yeah.
What could go wrong with this game? What could be when you get into it? The frame rate looked a little hiccupy, like just because it's
I
such a
think-
beautiful game that I was like really screwed.
I think potentially, like you were saying with the last one, there could be higher expectations than they could possibly meet. You just see this game, it looks really pretty. You expect this huge thing, and it's like, oh, this is
Yeah,
a
I
little
think this
indie
is
team.
yeah, I think it's gonna be
Right.
a small thing.
I wonder sometimes if like after events, which we'll get back to eventually, like in this industry, like going to bars and stuff like that, and like meeting other developers or like being at a convention or something, and like you have the team like Kano who like Sony fell in love with it. It's blown up. Everybody's talking about it. But there's all of a sudden this massive pressure, blue box pressure, like on this company. They might
sky pressure,
and they might not be able to deliver.
Yeah.
Whereas like you're the next indie group next to them that's familiar with this group that like we used to be on the same page, but now you've blown up. I want that press, and it's like, well, it's a double-edged sword. You get under the spotlight, you have those expectations, but at the same time. We will talk again about Sony and independent games before this podcast is over.
Those little characters are cute, but how does that actually work into the gameplay? And will that be fun? Will that be like Pikmin? Will that be its totally own thing? Will there be some weird AI scripting that makes it a nightmare? So there's a lot of different variables going on.
It is a fascinating study, I think, just in style and how to show off a game because like it won hearts like immediately, like the first time it came out. So it'd be interesting to see after the fact if it was like, oh, wait a minute, this trailer showed us one thing, but the game that I played is ultimately different. Because again, I'm like, I hope that does well, but I can't for the life of me think of anything I would be critical about at this juncture. Feeling a little bit similar about Psychonauts 2, August 25th. I can't imagine how they would mess this up.
I've been playing the first one recently, and I'm really excited for the second one now.
Yeah.
Now to see Psychonauts in a modern era, it's got me really excited.
Psychonauts 1 is a very, very strange game.
Yes.
Very good game, but just extremely bizarre in the best Double Fine way. And I just don't want this to be... I think like Huber more than anybody brings these like sob stories to me where he's just like, this was the chance. This was the sequel was the time that people could have found out about this franchise, but it didn't happen. And I wonder if it just is going to review really well and just people aren't that familiar with it.
I think there is that potential that it still doesn't necessarily hit the mainstream, but I think that it could be really, really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
they've had a lot of time. It's
Yeah.
something they've been very passionate about and put a lot of work into. And then, they got bought by Microsoft. And so now they got all the resources that they want
Yeah.
to polish that thing up.
And
I feel like that's what
advertising,
they've been doing.
I also feel like this is one of the first real deliveries we've seen upon those purchases. Like there's still like Avowed, we're still waiting. Like there's still a lot of these people that are under
sure.
this Microsoft umbrella, and this is to me like the first real direct one-to-one. Oh, they got Double Fine. Oh, cool. Psychonauts 2 is it's like I don't know if that was announced before that, but
It definitely was.
But like
Yeah.
knowing that like yes, this is going to be exclusive to that console. It's gonna be interesting to see if like the Xbox community is like, come on everybody. we gotta support this because this is definitely an initiative not only with Double Fine but with a lot of different developers. And the first one is just so damn charming. And end of August, there's still more time to go check it out. No More Heroes 3 is on Switch on August 27th. Is that soon
That's
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
in terms of what we've seen so far? Are we past the era of them being jokey about we're showing it to you? No, we're not. Haha. Like. Are we actually seeing it now? Do we actually know?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I mean, I think COVID delayed it. I think it was supposed to be sooner. Just got slipped a little bit.
They had that presentation that somehow didn't make it into the treehouse.
Yeah, that
that
was
was
kind of. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I expect it to do very well comparatively. I mean, the first two games have been re-released several times now. I just don't know if they've ever.
It just came out on Steam.
Yeah, I just don't know if they've ever been like breakout hits, and I don't know if No More Heroes 3 is going to be one as well. But I do think it's primed to be the best selling in this series. It's definitely got the biggest push, especially from Nintendo, despite what just happened with it not being in that presentation. So I do think it's got it's being set up for its best chance to succeed. Also, it just looks crazy and insane. Like I think that
trailer,
one
man.
trailer with the alien, like
it
the
was
like
great.
going his blob style
Yeah.
thing, was like that. I think grabbed everyone's attention.
That's where I'm at. I'm just kind of hanging on, like, okay, how does that? And I was one of the things why I thought the trailer was so effective is like never played No More Heroes 1 and 2, but know enough about them with you, like specifically, I got to go after this target, then this target, and so seeing the cast when they all come out of like the UFO is like, oh, what a great setup, a great and very bizarre setup for this. I just wonder what Nintendo's going to do now, between now and August 27th, to have everybody be like, this is happening. Remember, we were being really secretive and cute about it, but this is actually a game that's coming out. Is this going to sneak into a direct in that time frame, or is it just going to get prominent placement in the eShop? Or
Yeah, I don't think there's a good. I honestly don't think there's gonna be a direct though. Cater unless there's like a one of those third-party showcase directs, which they haven't done any
yeah,
this
not
year
its own
whatsoever.
direct for sure.
So I think
No,
those
yeah.
are gone. And I would, I think September. I think it's too soon. I think it's going to be before any other direct happens. So I think Nintendo's does like a social media push where they're like, "Hey, here's the launch trailer of the game coming out, this week," and
So you just think the franchise set itself up well, or all eyes are on Switch, or anything? Just that's this
I
promise on
think
Switch does well no matter what.
I think everyone they were going to get the majority of the sales. I think are already locked in for that game. I don't think it's gonna. I think there'll be some discovery of the game around its launch. People are like, oh yeah, that name, No More Heroes 3, it looks cool, or I never heard of this. This looks kind of cool. Play it, but I think their job was to like sell it ahead of time. Like people knew it was coming. They just want to see more of it. And I think people just wanted to date this year. Like all this year has been like, okay, I'm ready for it. What's the release date? And now it's out there, and I think the audience is looking forward to it. They've got it like locked down. They know that date. They're like going to be playing. Some more Travis touchdown on that day.
I like Travis. I don't think I'm going to play No More Heroes 3 or 1 and 2, but I like this guy. I like him. I like having him around. Like when it was announced, he got that really bad top-down arcade type game or something. That was sad. And then this got announced. I was just like, oh, I don't know why I was happy for him when No More Heroes 3 got announced. Good for you, Travis. Obviously the team, everybody doing that, but Kiwi. It's on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on August 31st.
This game looks crazy.
I'm into this game. This
Yeah, that
game's
one looks
fun.
cute.
We all remember what Kiwi is. Nice. They did it.
Yeah. It's like you're sorting mail, right?
It was like a stressful game.
It does seem like it could be stressful.
Oh yeah, of course it will be. But you're a little
Good
Kiwi,
group
so-
stream fodder, yeah. Yeah, just trying to mail stuff, jumping around. Looks like no two levels are the same. Just kind of one of those things. Game development is really hard, and people had this idea and took it all the way to the game coming in. Just one of those games. You're like, well, because that's the thing. That's what makes it stand out to me so much when we get so many like games where I'm going through the high grass in Russia with an assault rifle, and I'm just like, I kind of feel like I've seen this before. When you get something like Kiwi, where it's like never in 3-4 decades of playing video games have I ever seen a wacky game like that. Don't expect you to know about this, but I have to give lip service to Rustler, which is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One, and Switch on August 31st. This is GTA 1, but a Western.
Yeah.
Oh.
A silly Western. The horses, when they chase you like cops, have sirens. So like you have these horses chasing you with little like red and blue like spinning lights.
It's top down?
You literally run up. Yeah. It kind of looks like Chinatown Wars. It's like a little. There's a little more definition.
Cool.
Chinatown Wars is very blurry and pixelated.
That sounds fun.
But it just looks super silly. Even the guy is doing like the GTA 3 pose with like a. It's a fantasy, so you have horses instead of cars and stuff like that. But he literally like grabs a guy off the horse and jumps on. And I'm thrilled about this. Before we're done talking about August, I have someone who has played New World and enjoyed it, and somebody who played New World and did not enjoy it. That comes out on August 31st. Amazon's long-awaited MMO.
Yeah.
Curious to get both of your
I thought it was
takes.
all right at the time. It definitely needed work when I played it, but that was like a year ago. But I'm curious to check it out again. I know Huber is too.
This one's my disorder.
Yeah. I could totally see that.
Absolutely.
It was borderline, but at the same time, I recognized it was just not. It was offering what I didn't want in an MMO, so it wasn't. It had its flaws, but I was like, it's still got time. They can iron some of this stuff out. So
When you say they,
Amazon.
you know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Do you think that particular they, are they in a position to instill you with trust?
I mean, they have a lot of money, so if
correcting
there's
this
anyone who
stuff.
can do it, I just don't know if they have the understanding of what it takes to fix it. They've had some other missteps that weren't just gameplay related, and they've had to like fix that issue. And it has a chance. I'm not going to say no to it, but I have a feeling like if this game does not perform to the levels that Amazon expects, this might be this is going to be a huge setback.
Yeah.
I think this might be the end of the Amazon Game Studio.
This is your disorder, and I think we talked about this the other day, Al. I think that's kind of what you want to lean into. I just want to add that this game is almost kind of like notorious. Like I wonder if there's any kind of an energy out there that people are going to look glom onto, where they're like, oh yeah, that MMO that everybody was either really mad about or disappointed in or curious about. Like I wonder if this is going to turn heads at all, just because of bad press. Sometimes bad press is good.
I think this is coming out at a pretty decent time for it. It's far enough from Final Fantasy, so I think it'll be okay. I think this game is interesting because of the close range voice chat. how everyone has voice chat. You can talk to anyone. It's so wild and weird in this game, and I'm really into that.
Wow.
Okay.
Like when I played it, ran into normal people, just playing the game. Hey man, you want to do quests? And then you got people like role playing with you, like getting real into it. So that sounds wild, and I want to check that out.
Yeah, I don't even know if I need combat in
Yeah,
that game. That
and
sounds like
I think it's.
I'm not even
there's
gonna
no
leave the
monthly
main
fee.
town.
I think with this game either. You just buy it once, and you just keep playing.
I'm sure everyone's going to be thrilled about whatever pricing structure they set up.
Oh, I'm
As
sure there's
often
gonna
are
be
for-
bullshit in-game cash shop stuff.
Isla, what bullshit are you not looking forward to specifically with New World?
Oh, I didn't know about the mics thing. That's terrifying. But no, I just like Damiani kind of said what I was gonna say is like it's just seems like there's too much writing on this. Like, I think if this doesn't do well, Amazon maybe doesn't make games anymore.
Yeah.
They just like try to make money on Star Citizen or whoever using Lumberyard, but like I don't even know if that's still going on. Like, yeah, I just think there's too much writing on it. I don't know.
I think, Damiani, for me, it's as simple as anybody saying, hi, it's 2021 and we're making an MMO. I'm like, oh, okay. Just seems like you have to
Yeah,
have a
that
really
too.
strange pricing model, or you have to tell people there's not a lot of content in there now, but all we're going to be doing is adding more stuff. It just, it seemed like a genre that just stopped being exciting to want us to get into.
To be honest, like, yeah, even before, like, even OG 14 came out, it's like MMOs are kind of like in a weird place where I don't know if you're really going to have another big one. Why is anyone taking the risk making MMO? Obviously, they know why, because someone's trying to be the next WoW. Like, WoW has to end sometime, so someone has to take WoW's place, and it's almost like, not really. There doesn't have to be anything that takes WoW place. MMOs just might, as we've seen, online games as a service, online functionality, like, it's evolved so much that, like, every game kind of has this, like, post-launch content schedule that they're going by that's almost not quite MMO, but, like, it's like a living game. Oh, some games are even platform. That's, like, the new thing. A game is a platform. It'll be updated forever. You never have to go away from it. And it's, like, I think that was the flexibility that was missing from, like, the short-sightedness of everyone was MMO is the only answer to this. It's like, that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, totally. Like, there's been the next World of Warcraft, and it was called Minecraft.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
called Roblox. It was called Fall Guys. It was called Fortnite,
I think there's still a big space for MMOs, though. I think people are hungry always for new MMOs because
Sure.
every time a new one comes around, I certainly hear about it quite a lot.
Right.
And I pay attention to MMOs quite a bit, so, I mean, I'm interested to check it out. I don't think I need to play every MMO for fucking 10 years or anything like that, but
That's kind of how I feel about MMOs. Is people are like, so you live in Los Angeles. How about San Diego? And I'd be like, you want me to move to San Diego? No, I want you to live in both Los Angeles and San Diego simultaneously. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stop living one place and then
And
go somewhere else.
I think MMOs can quietly do well, like
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls. It's like,
Yeah.
it's still going. I don't even think about that game at all. I don't know anyone who plays that game, but still having expansions come out. Lord of the Rings Online
Yeah.
still has expansions coming out.
True.
Final Fantasy 11 still
They've
had
announced
expansions
new
coming
stuff
out.
for Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah, it's like
I
still
think
making money.
I think you toss around terminology like, doing well quietly at Google. You're not going to rise up
Of
the ladder
course
too
not.
fast.
I think, yeah.
So
Amazon, they
yeah.
definitely have different standards.
I
Probably,
could see
but
it. I could see it finding that audience like so many other MMOs have done, and Google being like, "Well, failure." You're just like,
Amazon.
well, it actually,
Amazon, yeah.
Sorry, and you're just like, it.
but at the same time, it's like their only thing. So maybe they'll be a little more lenient.
Well, like that's the thing that you wonder about Amazon, right? Is like, reportedly their Lord of the Rings show has like $1 billion budget or whatever, and it's like, okay, like, do you just make that back by a bunch of people signing up for Amazon Prime? Like, that's your game, right? Like, so that's what they're after. So like, maybe if this is free to play or you buy it one time or something, like Amazon Prime members are definitely getting bonuses in this game. Like, it's like Game Pass. It's like it's all trying to drive to that. So like, maybe it doesn't need to succeed in that like number of concurrent players metric. It just needs to get enough people to sign up for Prime, and if they hit that, they're happy. I don't know. Like, how do you make $1 billion back? Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
How do we make $1 billion? And now, a word from our sponsors. One sponsor. I'll tell you, that's not how you make $1 billion with just one sponsor. Shout out to Upstart. When it comes to paying off debt, it can often feel like an uphill battle. High interest rates resulting in minimum monthly payments keep you in an endless cycle of debt. Upstart can help you get ahead. Are you carrying a credit card balance month after month? You're not the only one. High interest rates make it hard to pay off your debt, but Upstart can help. Join the thousands of happy borrowers who made that final payment. Do you dread looking at your credit card statement every month? We don't blame you. Upstart can lift that weight off your shoulders so you can finally feel the relief of being free of credit card debt. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Unlike other lenders, Upstart looks at more than just your credit score, like your income, employment history. That means they can offer smarter rates with trusted partners. With a 5-minute online rate check, can confirm, 5-minute, I believe it was less than 5 minutes, online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. You can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/easyallies. That's all one word, Easy Allies, regular spelling. That's upstart.com/easyallies. Don't forget to use our URL so that they know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/easyallies. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. And now, September. September is great. I want to play all these games. September looks awesome. Some of these games I can't even believe are coming out that quick. Kicking it off with the Huber classic, Lake, September 1st, which we played the demo of.
Yeah.
Brad, what did the demo of Lake do to your impressions of Lake?
Looks exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
I was like, all right.
But I think they sold it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Shout out to the team at Lake that aren't trying to package this in any other way than just
Yeah.
a person driving around delivering mail. Feels good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Isla, why do I get, what's the crime game that's so weird? That's like time travel and...
Deadly Premonition?
Why do I get Deadly Premonition vibes from this? From
Oh,
Lake?
yeah. Well, because it takes place in a small town.
Nah.
You're walking around. It's kind of slow. This seems way less weird, but I could definitely see this having like a secret Twin Peaks like
That's the
angle
thing.
to it or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I'm going to find somebody. Someone's going to finish Lake. I'm going to grab them and be like, aliens? They're like, no, there's no alien. Like, really? You didn't
Simulation.
find a body in a basement or something? There's no...
It's like Matrix.
The lake
It's
itself,
true,
there's
but
no,
isn't
it didn't, like Goldeneye, some like satellite dish didn't come out in the middle at the end. Oh,
Wasn't there like a lumberjack that you delivered mail to? And
Yeah.
He's like, I haven't seen anyone for 12 years. I'm like, you
Yeah, he's like, I haven't seen a
5
human
minutes
being
away
in
from the
12
middle
years.
of town.
It's like, we walked here. What are you doing?
On September 2nd, Riders Republic.
Oh.
On everything. Even coming to the Stadia there because Ubisoft loves the
And
Stadia.
Luna, probably.
And, well, not on this list, but we'll see. Yeah. It's not my pre-order, but I'm excited. I'm curious to see how much I'm going to want to go back to this beyond just games coverage. You know, how like, I'm actually going to want to like be competitive at a specific thing. I think the thing that most, for people not familiar with Riders Republic, this is, what is it, bikes, jetpacks, parachutes. Is there any skiing or snowboarding, or is it all
Skiing, snowboarding, biking,
Yeah, yeah.
wingsuits.
wingsuits?
Oh,
Correct.
yeah.
But that's kind of more fitting into like the jetpacky
Yeah.
stuff. You can just run around, I guess. That would be fun. I imagine you wouldn't get far in many of the races. But there's always just like one guy in the corner, like getting like knocked over. I think one of the things about Steep, I've said a lot about Steep. The paragliding in Steep was just the slowest, weirdest, dumb. There was some mechanic I wasn't getting when I played that, and felt bad to have one of these disciplines that they're promoting just almost being like a complete throwaway. And so I wonder. I think the best thing that can happen for Riders Republic is that not only do these feel different, but like I'm just into bikes. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to focus on bikes, and I can still like compete and do things with these other people who like these other things, but I'm just enjoying my bike game. Or if it's like, okay, I'm clearly either the game is forcing me to try other stuff, or I only can hang out with bike people, or
Or there's some kind of like weird like seasonal thing, right? That's like, you get to the end of summer and now you've got to pull out the snowboard or something.
You have to have like
that.
a balanced discipline across everything to level up. It's like, okay, well, you're good at that. How are you good at these other
The
things?
balance will be interesting if everyone's racing against each other and it's not like just against your own like class or whatever. Because that was a Diddy Kong Racing was one of the first games to do that, where it's like you could be flying, you could be on a boat, but you're all racing the same race. So good luck.
And Forza, like, you're going against a helicopter and jets and stuff. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, those are like kind of special like single player events, but yeah.
It seems unbalanceable, but at the same time, the first time I saw Riders Republic, it was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna try. I wonder if that's what they're going for. If they're just like, no, we just wanted to add rocks and more like desert areas.
I'm not entirely clear. Like, are you actually is somebody on a mountain bike actually racing the person on the wingsuit? Or are they two separate races happening on top of each other?
I think that's what it is. I think it's like in real time, you're seeing multiple races happen as you're going down, and maybe you can interact with each other by accident.
They populate the area that you're in.
So it's just like chaos, but like you are only competing against the other cyclists if you're in the the bicycle race.
I wanted to confirm the platforms, and it's funny because in the little description when you Google it on the actual website, Stadia is listed. On the bottom of the actual website, Stadia and Luna are not listed, but then Google says that Stadia and Luna on the top for like available platforms. So probably on everything, but it's just funny how inconsistent it is. They just leave Stadia and Luna off.
Poor Luna. Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions is on September 3rd.
Creed as in
Apollo Creed?
As in Apollo
Yeah,
Creed,
I think so.
as in Drago, as in, they got everybody.
Yeah, they're making another one.
Everybody's in this.
Huh.
Yeah, this is a brand I really care about. Some of these films in this franchise, I think, are some of the best movies ever made. And boy, I don't know. I think that.
Are you trying to joke with me right now?
What?
Are you being serious?
Well, Rocky 1 is amazing. Like,
The
and
Creed movies are
Creed 1 is
amazing.
yeah.
Creed 2 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Creed 3 will probably be pretty good too.
Apparently
Apparently,
doing a
that's
Creed
what I
2?
meant. No, I meant a film, not another game.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I pick up on the tone there?
I'm just. It's funny to see. I think Rocky's one of those brands that I'm just like, I don't know if it's worth it. I just don't see unless you're like really gonna go nuts. But even then, I don't know if I'd want to.
It feels like they would be better as cameo characters in one of the boxing games.
Sure.
But I mean, sorry, it's Ready to Rumble?
Big Rumble Boxing.
Okay. I thought it was like Ready to Rumble. I was
Which
like,
I don't know.
that's
It's a franchise. I think that might just be what they're
I
calling
don't think
this Creed game.
I don't think it is. That's what's so strange about it. It's like Creed comes so late in that title. It's
Yeah.
like, is it?
Yeah.
PSVR had a Creed game that was not
Right.
boxing VR. It's just not.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry. It's not.
When you see the logo, though, it's basically it's basically Creed Champions, and then Big Rumble Boxing is small
Gotcha.
around it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's listed
Design
Big
team
Rumble
knows
Boxing
what they're
first.
doing.
Kitaria Fables is on September 3rd as well.
What Fables?
Kitaria, meow meow,
Oh, gotcha.
as in kitten.
Gotcha.
Kitaria,
Okay.
action RPG / farming sim.
Okay,
Where you're a cat?
You lost me at farming.
Oh, I should mention that. I mentioned that last though. Shouldn't have said it. You might have played it.
Say meow meow again.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. Every podcast I'm looking for quotes to put at the end of the podcast. So I rarely pick myself, but if it's got to be meow meow, it's meow meow. Life is Strange: True Colors, September 10th.
Oh, nice.
But
I'm
you're
looking-
you're
look-
but
That's
you're
a
gonna
humor pre-order.
you're all in on In Sound Mind. How you're going full horror.
I don't know. I thought part of the trick was trying to find stuff that might not be as expected. But anyways, Life is Strange. I'm very curious how it's going to feel pacing wise, because this is going to be a one shot. This is not episodic. So, we're not going to have this kind of 3 to 4 hours and then, all right, what's going to happen next? And in that sort of structure, and it's all going to take place, it seems, in one location that you can kind of freely explore, and it looks pretty good. And yeah, there's a lot of different questions to how it's all going to play out, and and being in one place like that, could it branch more? Could it go in more directions than they have in the past? Because they don't have to keep, moving to the next thing. So
Would playing all the episodes of one of the existing ones be kind of overwhelming to somebody? So like a game of, like this being
I wouldn't call
longer,
it-
it would be overbearing or something, like too emotional to handle, like all that at once, maybe.
No, I think people definitely
Okay.
will binge
I
them, but
played
they
the
are
first one and all in
yeah.
one go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was curious.
I mean, I think this game might be divided up in like chapters still, though. You know, you like an arc, I guess, for each thing.
yeah, maybe
Time jump.
So
Yeah.
like a natural break point, I guess, maybe. But I think that'd be a good idea.
Because I wonder if the writing team there kind of felt shackled a little bit, almost kind of like TV writers. They're like, oh, I'm in a really good scene. Ah, commercial break. And then, oh no, the door opened. Okay, now I'm back to the thing I was writing. And I wonder if they, felt at the end of episodes, they like maybe might have like, added a little more drama to one specific moment because they're like, that's the end of the chapter. And so,
Well, with Life is
you don't necessarily
Strange
get that.
too, I mean, the road trip aspect really, made every one of those chapters feel very distinct. They were in entirely different places, and you were meeting new characters, and you would get attached to somebody, and then they would give you a ride and drop you off, and maybe you get an email from them later, and some of those things that like, well, the cops are looking for us, so do we call and check in with people that care about us or not? And just
Yeah.
And so, yeah, again, I think with this all being seemingly, one location that you just kind of explore, the different corners of, it could have a very different pacing.
Yeah. Do you think maybe they're gonna have like characters that you could interact with and start their arcs at different times, depending on if you go like go over this corner shop, and if you don't go over there in chapter 1, you don't start their story yet, and they don't start up to like
Maybe.
maybe chapter 2, or do you think it's gonna be a little bit
Yeah,
more linear?
yeah, I think there's a lot of different possibilities, or or could be a lot more like one, in the first game, you explored that school a lot, and then you went to other locations as well. But there's a lot of time, getting to know the other students.
As someone who I didn't play 2, and I don't know if I'll make time for True Colors, at least in the month of September. I hope it does well. This is just a very
think
very
it'll
lovely
do-
franchise that I
it'll
want
do
to do well. Tales of Arise, September 10th.
Oh wow,
That's my pre-order.
wow.
Nah.
Are these hopes? Are these expectations? Are these assurances?
I mean, it just looks really good from everything they've shown. I mean, the combat system looks really good. I like the direction they're going with it, and the changes they've made, like quote unquote quality of life changes they've done to. It's not quite the seamless transition into the battles, but like taking advantage of the fast load times on the newer systems. Kind of cutting out the post-battle quips that they do and putting it on like a little sidebar in the middle, so you could
I didn't
so you
see
could
that.
pick up
That's
on
nice.
like moving on faster. And I mean, I still have a few environments that they had visually. It's running on a new engine, so it definitely looks much improved, which is a big step up.
Yep.
So there's still a few question marks I have that want to be answered. Hopefully, there's something like another trailer that might answer some of that. But otherwise, it looks like it might actually be fulfilling the promise of a Tales that's moving beyond the formula that's been around since pretty much Symphonia. It's like it's almost like been roughly 20 years that this type of Tales game has been going on, and the biggest thing that changes between the games is just like the combat system, and now it looks like they're actually doing more and something more meaningful changes.
I eagerly await your report, Damiani, whether they managed to pull it off. WarioWare, get it together. It's
Disorder.
only on Switch, September 10th.
Oh,
shit.
Dissing a Wario.
Sure.
Wow.
I was curious how you were
I'm
feeling
curious to hear this.
today about this
I wanna
game,
know.
but yeah,
I'm very curious.
I've heard a bit of this.
The thing that weirds me out the most is that you're controlling characters.
Yeah.
All of the mini games seem to be, well, have your character jump over here or do this or grab this thing. And so, I don't know, just to me, part of WarioWare is the screen pops up and you're like, what do I do? What am I even controlling? What is happening right now? And a lot of them have also leaned into, just different control methods, right? So WarioWare Twisted, everything was about motion controls, and the same thing with the Wii game, and then the DS game was like, touchscreen stuff. And
Shout out to WarioWare Twisted because we had to review that on the Game Boy because we had to capture it and we didn't have a Game Boy Advance like capture thing, and so we reviewed that on the adapter to the GameCube.
Oh wow!
And so the guy reviewing it is like moving the GameCube around.
The
Continue.
Game Boy player. Wow.
Wow. But yeah, so I just having that it feels like a character is something that could potentially just get in the way of what you're wanting to do. And then it also feels like there's a lot of emphasis on cooperation, competitive with another person that like get it together, which is a hilarious title. But I've enjoyed WarioWare in the past. We'll see how it actually does. I just feel like that could just make things feel more samey and less random.
Yeah, that's interesting. Those are good concerns to have. I wasn't thinking about that. I was wondering if you were going to go in a direction of it also might just be lacking in the content department. You know, seeing if some of their other titles, at least recently, kind of been called out for that. If maybe, I mean, WarioWare has never been one to be lacking in that stuff. They've all been very satisfactory, but no concern that they might there's not enough modes or enough mini games in this one, something like that.
Potentially, yeah. It's weird because it's a game that is very much a popcorn game. You know, and that's that's another thing that's kind of strange about even like continuing the franchise and bringing it back is it came out at a time when there wasn't anything like it. There weren't minigame collections yet, you know, which kind of blew up on the Wii. Minigames, you know, just the idea of micro games, and it's like this is a game, but it lasts like 3 seconds, you know. It was very, very novel and very inventive at the time, and now there's just all kinds of quick time killer things, and so like standing out and making that work, and also you know how successful can it still be as a party game?
True.
There's a lot of different questions there.
You just reminded me that those games, NES Remix, those games, they just never just vanished. Like they never followed up with those like with SNES Remix or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm surprised.
That's always been an element of of WarioWare, and then that's
they're same. Yeah.
You know, and even bringing in like Virtual Boy titles, it has sort of that. The kind of like Smash Brothers throwback kind of aesthetic at times.
I miss those.
I think the character thing is tricky because to me it can like fail in opposite directions. It's like I either have to figure out how I'm specifically controlling this character in these mini games. So even if I'm familiar with WarioWare, it's like there's that disconnect of like, okay, my character's there, and then now what do I? Oh, timer's up. You know, whereas like before, it's like, oh, I'm moving the arm. Oh, I did the thing. Whereas now it's like I gotta, you know, figure out the placement of myself, you know, and then figure out this other thing first. Or the other end of that, which is I saw one character did ranged attacks, and that was his thing.
Yeah.
He was like, odds are I'm going to have to shoot at something. You know, it's like, oh, that thing, okay. And then it just kind of simplifies the whole experience, and it's not as like... The first WarioWare I played, I think I laughed harder than most of the video games I've played in my life. Just like open, like just, you know, leaning over, tears streaming down my face. Not even sure why I'm laughing, because it's just so bizarre. You know, like there wasn't any one particular thing that was funny. It was just you know... You do like 30 of those things in a row, and it just...
And I think maybe in a way that's part of it too, is that... And I'd have to maybe watch back and see, but I feel like the characters themselves are their own distinct art style, but then the minigames all have just wildly different art styles. And I think that's part of what you're saying about the randomness and the humor is you just suddenly see, like... This is just stick figures.
Yeah.
Like what is happening? Yeah. Or here's polygons, or here's, you know, some like very like elaborate drawing that looks like it's off some old PC adventure game. It's all over the place.
Also boogers and farts.
Yes.
Those are funny.
Yeah.
Can put
Sniff
there. Deathloop. PC, PS5 for the time being, September 14th.
I'm gonna play it.
I'm probably gonna play it too. Do we know enough? Do we still know? Have we figured out at any point how you can play as
I think a lot
this
of
other
people
character?
don't have an idea of what it is still.
Specifically, yeah.
I think
how it
we
works.
know enough about one side of things.
Yeah.
I think we know enough about the main protagonist. I don't think it's quite clear what the incentive and how the other, like if another player jumps into your game, like how interesting that is going to be, how much of an element that's going to be, you know, pushed, or if it's just sort of a side thing, you know, kind of like, you know, invading people in Souls.
Have you seen any specific powers on display in Deathloop that you think stand out for you as somebody who's played? Because I know you've played a lot of the Dishonored stuff.
To be fair, I haven't seen a ton of this game, so no. Everything I've seen, I was like, oh yeah, that looks like it being Dishonored.
Right.
But I'm cool with
It's
that.
just kind of the lifting and throwing.
Yeah.
You're like,
Absolutely, yeah. I think the
I've done a bit of
rogue
this.
light element is the most interesting part for me of how it's structured. So sounds cool.
So yeah, you're buying the ticket if it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
great. If it's not great, you'll play through it
yeah,
anyway.
I like their past work. So
But about that, is there expectations here that need to be met? It seems
The
like something like
expectation is just the ability to explore and experiment.
Yeah.
And find your own route through this stuff and not feel like it's all.
they're like Dishonored games. One thing I loved about is the world is so detailed, and like every room you go in, there's so much like lore they pack into these games too. So I really like that about Dishonored games. I'm worried about that kind of stuff getting lost and just flying through every level in a minute and just not even caring about it. Also, the replayability. I have to have a good reason to keep going back and looping.
Yeah, I'm curious what the speed run is going to be.
Yeah.
How many digits is that going to be? People blasting through this game. What about you two? You curious?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm terrible because I've never really gotten all the way through in any of those games. I got a good way through the first Dishonored before I got knocked out of it, and then kind of as a consequence, never ended up playing 2 or Prey. But I like those kinds of games. I like Deus Ex, and there's a lot of very similar things going on, in that genre. And yeah, I think it's the ability for the player to be creative, it is very cool to watch somebody that's good at Dishonored play that game and do things you never thought were possible.
Yeah.
And so I want to see more of that.
This came out of the gate just with such a distinctive style and so much energy, and I feel like it kind of spun its wheels a little bit. So yeah, I'm ready for it to come out. I'm ready for people to check it out. Rainbow Six Extraction is 2 days later on September 16th.
Oh.
PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One. This game went away, but now it's back. How was that as far as a correction goes? Like, how do I don't know if this is something I'm going to be checking out, but it looked, very interesting. It looked like a pretty good marriage of the complexity of the mechanics that you have in Rainbow Six, specifically Siege, and this like kind of brand new enemy type, and them clearly having fun building this world. But it also totally vanished, and it's I'm worried maybe some people don't know what's happening in September.
Well, they did show off gameplay at E3, and I think the question to me is going to be how well they can fit in both the Siege audience and the more casual audience, because there are very different expectations there. I think this would be a fun game to pick up and play with you guys for a night or a weekend. But then people want to dive deep. They want to get to know their operators. They want to have all of specific loadouts and customization and all of that kind of thing. It's like, that is it going to have the kind of longevity as Siege? Because Siege just keeps going and keeps going. It is a thing, that's not gonna go away anytime soon. Or is it going to be just, here's a little twist, here's a multiplayer thing that we're putting out this year that the mechanics will be somewhat familiar and kind of reskin on Siege, and everyone will be over it by the end of the year.
That's kind of when it was first announced, was the impression that I got. It was like, oh, fun little side thing. Again, using the materials that you already have to do something unique. It just kind of was repurposed and surfaced as something that was aiming to be a little bit bigger than that. But I'm curious to see if it can stand apart. Grab some people who haven't played Rainbow Six Siege. Origami 2 is on the 17th.
I'll play it.
Yeah, I'll play it too.
I like the first one.
Any notes on the first one? The first one was a little stiff.
It was a little stiff.
The movement was just like a little awkward. It looked so interesting. This is a cartoony, cel-shaded,
There's like
stealth
co-op,
game.
I think they added in the game. So and this one's very co-op focused. Looked like, so that could be, us perching on a roof, stabbing some guy.
An easy sell for me.
Yeah.
I just and played a fair amount of Origami. I just was like, wow, I'm not really. I'm not feel like I'm living in this character. I feel like I'm kind of fighting the controls. Diablo 2 Resurrected on September 23rd. That's my pre-order.
Oh.
Nice.
I didn't play Diablo 2.
I didn't really play it either, so
haven't
this will be like my
I
first
haven't
time
played
pretty
Diablo
much.
2 either.
Holy cow, it's
None
time.
of y'all played Diablo 2?
Nope.
I
No.
didn't have a PC really
Yeah.
that I could play
No,
games
I
on
don't
until
play
way
Diablo
later.
3 was my first Diablo, and I don't know what I don't love about it. As you know, it's like everyone has said so many wonderful things about Diablo 2. I think the remaster looks great. I love that you can go back and forth. I'm going to be hitting that button just constantly when I go into these areas. I love that, I love that bow and arrow, and that class looks like a blast, and it just seems like such a sure thing. I'm just curious. I mean, no, right. I know exactly what you're going to say, and that's the major concern. I just don't see that from what I've seen.
Here's what I'll say. Reforged sucked,
Yeah.
and they blundered that game hardcore. This is the people that did the Tony Hawk remaster, I believe, 1 and 2, and they did a great job with that.
Well, probably not the same people, but the same
team, though.
development house.
Same,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
hard to tell with an Activision Blizzard.
What I've
'cause
seen
lot of
looks
people
a
are
lot
helping and other
better.
Stuff.
So really, they don't fuck it up. Like I think people will be so pissed, like even way more than Warcraft 3 if they mess this game up.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think to me, the thing that probably is the marker that it's gonna be all right is when they said, "Oh, we didn't expect this, but your save files work."
Sure.
True.
That's pretty faithful.
They're at the point where they're making discoveries
Yeah.
like that. My fingers are crossed. It's interesting because I always have like kind of back and forth opinions about a lot of these things.
Or save. That seems like such not a Blizzard thing nowadays too. Like when Warcraft 3 Reforged came out, like you couldn't play on the old BattleNet client or anything like that. They like, moved everyone over whether you wanted to or not.
Oh yeah, ditching the old
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
I
just
hope
like
they don't ditch any old stuff again.
That's so cool, blood.
Sable. It's on September 23rd.
Sable.
I don't know what the hell this game's about.
I
What are you
know.
gonna do in it? But I want to check
Looks
it
like
out.
just walk around,
Yeah.
and explore, and have a good time.
Yeah.
And
We
cool.
we demoed this in our group stream,
Yeah.
and we were talking over you a lot while you were playing this
Yeah.
Blood Worth. I felt we were on
And
two very different wavelengths.
Isla and Don played it
Yeah.
after that too.
Yeah, I watched Don play it. It definitely seems like a game that you want to just kind of settle in and play it by yourself.
Yep. I don't want to watch
Doesn't-
anyone play this game.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not fun to watch, really. I don't know.
Yeah.
How did you feel about? There's a lot more character interaction than I had seen before and was expecting just in the demo.
There's too much talking.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think,
at the beginning,
I think that
yeah.
could be
Straight up, there's too much talking.
I think that could be true. I think it could also just be like overly handholdy start. I don't know how long that'll last. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it sort of was rather than just like letting you get off and do what you want to do. It's like, okay, you have to do this for this person to then do this for this person to do then do this for this person. Like just let me go do the thing.
Yeah.
Just let me go do something, and but I think that could potentially just be the first hour of the game, and then things are fine. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Obviously, a very cool and unique aesthetic, and interesting world to explore, and curious to see kind of how it goes from there.
Curious to see if there's anybody talks about like spoilers, like well, I want to show you some of the crazier stuff. That would make my ears perk up. Like
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
because it's tricky. It's a very visually distinct game and just such a fascinating game to look at. So many bold lines and such a great use of color. But I do wonder how long that aesthetic will last. Like I do wonder if like the seventh cave you go into, you're like, well, it kind of looks like the last one. But hopefully we'll be very surprised about that. Lost Judgment is coming out on September 24th.
That's the same thing I said when I saw it. I was like, really, that quick?
Yeah.
I'm down.
Got that date.
I like the first one.
That seems
Sequel,
so
baby.
quick though.
Hell yeah. I mean,
Hey,
I feel like they pump out games like every year.
Yeah, they're doubling down. They're investing in those in Judgment and Yakuza.
Mm-hmm.
And that's next gen only, PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Oh, it is? Really?
Those are the only consoles
Wow.
listed that I could find.
Damn.
So they claim. I wonder how long that'll.
This could be the
Sure.
first one that starts the. It's now the pillar of this is like the old Yakuza,
Oh,
with like
Yeah,
right.
because this
and
is like
going
the beat 'em up brawler
and in
style
Yakuza
one.
going forward will be
RPG.
RPG. So
Cool.
Turn-based.
Great.
I think a lot of people are
Yeah.
going to be getting in on this, like not missing this one.
Just cool it with the tailing missions. Way better.
Hate tailing missions in
Yeah,
the game,
they're
man. They
bad.
suck.
Assassin's Creed has the worst tailing missions ever.
It does.
So many times, it's like,
You're
I
out of
Yes,
range.
it does.
You're out of range.
I
Get
can't
back
go
in range.
anywhere. What? And he's walking through a park. I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Hot Wheels Unleashed on September 30th. Dude, you can just defer to your preview if you would like. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
talked
Definitely
about that.
go watch the preview.
This game looks cool.
Yeah, it does look very cool.
I think it'll be fun to play in a group stream. I don't want to like people to get too high expectations of it, but I think it's gonna be a fun game, and I'm curious like how interesting the track editor is gonna be.
Sure.
Because like one of the things that surprised me when I actually got to play it was that there are parts where the tracks will end. You'll get off of the orange, plastic track and right across the countertop for a minute, or go through an air
That's
duct
so
or
cool.
something.
I love
And
that.
That's
when you
awesome.
Yeah.
put a track builder into that, and it's like, okay, well, how much of this room can I use as part of my course?
3 point.
And then I also wonder how many other like little gimmicky interactive elements they had. Like the one thing, since you guys weren't there for the conversation, they have like this like robotic like toy spider thing above the track that shoots web down onto the track.
That's cool.
And so then you have to boost to get out of it.
That's cool.
And so I'm curious how much more of that,
yeah,
that there
cat.
is.
Stuff like that.
How many hazards
Oh, yeah.
can you
There's always cats
put in
those
there?
Types of games.
I imagine if they modeled the whole room with collision, you could use every surface, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
they also
Or the
have the
walls, too.
magnetic,
Yeah.
things on the walls and the ceilings, and so
sick, dude.
Cool. You think they're gonna sell track expansion like toy, like literal toys that you can add as tracks for like microtransaction stuff? Like, is that where they're gonna go with it?
no,
Here's the loop-de-loop. You gotta pay.
I don't think it'll be heavy into that kind of
Okay.
thing at all. No,
The Life is Strange Remaster Collection, we talked about Life is Strange a little bit, is on September 30th, which I think will be a fascinating way to play the game for new people, but like...
the remastered collection coming out after the new
Yeah.
game.
that's
strange.
so
Very odd.
weird.
Little close,
Why?
too. Seems like.
Yeah, I know. It came up recently with a discussion I had with Huber, and Huber was wondering if maybe they didn't want the remasters stealing the spotlight. If it came out first, everyone rushed to go buy those and not play True Colors for some reason. So I was like, I don't know if this is an idea he threw out, maybe, but. Yeah, maybe
and it's
people get into this one and they want to know more. Like, oh, I want more of the series. Well, here you go. Here's the remasters. Go play the rest of the series.
True Colors is standalone, right? Like, it doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with it. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Well,
it
That we know of.
does.
Yeah.
There's definitely a character crossing over from
Oh, really?
previous games. Yep.
that makes it even more strange.
Yeah.
Life is strange.
I mean, they're, it
kinda
is remastered,
connected.
so it's...
Yeah,
These
the-
are,
Yeah, the
thing
games
is-
are out
access
there,
to
I
these if
suppose.
you want to
Yeah,
play them
yeah.
now, but...
Yeah, the thing is with the way that they've worked so far, and I mean, obviously it's only been 2 games, is they seem like entirely separate stories, but they are in the same universe, and so you will cross paths with characters that you've met before.
I like that kind of stuff. That's cool.
And whether somebody will ever tie these things together and have some kind of like
Their
super
Avengers
team
moment
or something,
for
I don't
Huber.
know.
Yeah, and he'll cry.
But
That's what they're building up to it, man. The Arcadia cinematic universe or whatever
Yep.
the hell.
And finally, also on September 30th, Melty Blood Type Lumina,
What?
which is Ben's pre-order. Ben says it's the rebooting Melty Blood, so it's a perfect time for newcomers like me to get in, and it'll have
rebooting.
rollback netcode.
Nice.
I can't wait to play in the bathroom.
Is that a fighting game?
yeah, Melty Blood's a
Yeah.
fighting game series that I know
Oh, I've
pretty
never
much
heard
nothing
about it.
My
Fighting games
disorder-
have hilarious names.
My disorder was not on that list.
Oh,
And I looked at the list you sent earlier to us today, and it was Contra Returns.
that's just a
on
mobile game, isn't it?
I know. But I looked at it. I'm like, it's mobile. How bad could it be? I looked at it. I was like, shit. It's even worse, man. 2 things. Life bar and numbers when you're shooting stuff. Yes, I know it's a mobile game, but a Contra game where you don't die in one hit?
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
right.
weird. And when I'm shooting guys for numbers, seeing numbers pop out, I don't want to see any of that stuff. It's so simple. All you gotta do is make Contra how they did like Mega Man 10 or 9 and 10, just super chill looking, like look like an NES game. That's all you gotta do, and it'd be good. But you keep screwing it up because it's Konami.
I was just gonna inquire who.
And my expectations are just so low. But every time, it hurts a little, no matter what.
That's the next 3 months. I'm excited about all of those games. Feels good.
Well, not all of those games.
Not all of them.
I'm excited to hear maybe how poorly some of these games do.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited to get the details. I'm excited about the next 3 months of video games. Also this week, I was going to dive into this, but Ian Garner, co-founder of publisher Neon Doctrine, dropped a spicy hot Twitter thread where he didn't say specifically, but hinted, and a lot of people replied very directly, that basically, as for most independent developers, working with Sony is a giant pain in the ass. It's very, very hard. And if they don't like you, there's really not a lot you can do to get promotion, to really get a lot of responses from them. Apparently, your Xboxes and Nintendos are very responsive, and Sony's just like, it takes months to get back to you. Lots of really tiny details that we don't have time to drill into. But again, that's Ian Garner, co-founder of publisher Neon Doctrine. And it's fascinating because it's not, a thread is a thread, but there's just like a lot of indie developers who replied, and we're like, he's not wrong. I'm not going to get into it because I really want to get our game on that marketplace you're speaking of that he didn't really specifically give it any names.
What's really funny to me is the thing that comes to mind is if you know this space and you know the needs and you know the market, this is a good time to pitch yourself to Sony and say, hey, give me a job.
Right.
Because we got a lot of heat on this.
A lot of people were talking about a lot of conversation starters. But again, one of those things where I wasn't sure how much enlightening we would do on the Easy Allies podcast because we were hearing from developers telling their stories. So fun read. I invite you to go through that thread, obviously not only from Ian, but from all of the other people that replied. Summer Games Done Quick is this weekend.
Woo.
So hopefully if you check in this podcast out on Sunday, there's more of that to check out. The Walking Dead survivors blatantly stole RE2 art in their promotion.
Yeah, this was nuts.
And it was so choice because of the legal troubles that potentially Capcom is in right now from stealing art for the Resident Evil franchise. So this has to seem was it you that did the zoom in on the gun?
That
Slack?
someone else had done that, but I posted the zoom in. Yeah,
Where one character has a gun out, and it's for Walking Dead too. It's not just some small team just doing a joke.
You
And
can
apparently
see
it was
Claire's
real.
Claire's
you can
gun
see one gun behind
yeah,
their gun,
it's
and
amazing.
Oh man,
that's intentional. Casey Hudson, the director of the Mass Effect trilogy, is starting Humanoid Studios. No hints as to what they're working on, but he's making a new studio.
In honor
He's been
of
kind of hanging out and
Huber,
talking about science for a while.
Right now
but
they're working on building a studio.
yep.
no
In
hints
honor
as to
of-
what
The
game they're
job
working
listings
on.
are pretty high level.
Right.
In honor of Huber, we have to just go humanoid.
Magic Legends is shutting down on October 31st.
That's nuts.
Is that the?
They had a
card
good
game?
run.
Or is that the MMO thing?
That's the
MMO
MMO
thing.
thing
That
we
we
had
played?
trouble getting into. Yeah, that we
was the
wanted
beta
to
for
kick
it.
off.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, the
This game's
beta
not
that
even
we
out
played
yet.
2 months ago or whatever.
no.
man.
They are shutting down their store immediately. You can still buy stuff through the in-game currency that they have. Quote, our vision missed the mark.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Magic Legends had a lot of money, not only obviously spent on the game, but I went to their website and just marketing. It just,
Damn.
they made a big deal about that, and it's not coming out of beta. Remedy signed an agreement with 505 Games for a Control multiplayer spin-off,
Right.
which
Could
I'm
be
down for.
interesting.
The combat in the game is very fun. That could be neat. And they even said, in the blog post, we know we've never done multiplayer, stuff, but we're very much liking how it's coming across, and a bigger budget sequel. So an interesting way to get Control 2 announced, but I'm sure we'll get more details on that when that game is ready. This is interesting. Also talking about Sony, Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut announced. So this is the PlayStation 5 version of Ghost of Tsushima. This has added
a PS4
content.
version Separate.
Correct. And you can get DLC content, and they're going to be bringing more stuff to Legends. If you want to upgrade to PlayStation 5, you can do so now, pre-ordering for $20. After August 20th, it'll be $30.
Oh.
Wait,
Are you
no,
sure?
I think you got that wrong.
20. They say right now you can pre-order for $20.
You can reorder I think you
PS4
pre-ordered a
version,
PS4 version for
$20.
$20, and
Okay.
then you can upgrade for $10.
Or the PS5
or it's
version
all,
for
or
30.
it's all in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I took that directly from I read their statement, and that is how I took that information. Good to know. But yeah, a lot of people are like, I don't know if this is worth $30. Maybe seem like a little bit more. It's tough because I'm in such good graces with Ghost of Tsushima because they gave this amazing multiplayer mode totally for free. So it's I don't know, even if maybe a little bit more I think potentially they
I mean,
are a company that can pull that off.
Essentially, the thing that's strangest about it is that, this continuing, $70 price point for a PS5 game. So
Right.
they're saying that we're adding all of this stuff to the game. You're going to get this expansion. You're going to get the Japanese lip syncing and all of that.
Which is a huge deal.
It's a huge
I'm
deal.
so
That's a
bummed.
lot of work
Yeah,
on
it
its
is.
own.
Yeah.
But then, if you've already got all that, well, if you want the PS5 upgrade, that's another $10. And it's just so weird to say, like, all of this is worth $20, but just putting it on PS5 is another 10?
There was already a PS5 patch too for the base
Right.
game.
They've improved it already,
Yeah.
so it's like,
It's weird.
oh.
It's a little weird.
It's weird. Like, I really like Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm going to check it out, but I could totally see why people would be very hesitant to jump in.
I'm going to just dip into Love and Respect really quickly because Jeremy Elliott says, is it okay for PlayStation to leave out PS4 owners of PS Plus titles? That's another thing, too. Some people might have picked up, like, PlayStation. They're just
Well,
very weird in pricing things. A lot of great titles recently on PS Plus for some weird, stupid reasons. Sony doesn't allow free upgrades to PS versions. Xbox does. Interesting point.
This also happened with Intergrade. It was on
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a deal
Remake
with-
was on PlayStation Plus. and you
With
had
the
to-
publisher or
Yeah.
something. I don't know how it works necessarily. I think, because it's Plague Tale this month for the PS5 version, but I think they did the PS4 version a while ago. I want to say it was a PS Plus game, but it seems weird.
Yeah.
I mean, that game's cool, so check it out if you can check it if you have the option. But yeah, I don't know. It is it is weird if like you got the PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII, then it's like you can't do it, and it was like pretty close to when the Intergrade came out. So
Yeah, it's a little weird.
PlayStation Studios acquired Housemarque.
yay!
They might have bought Blue Point as well. We're not sure,
Maybe.
but they originally had a
also
tweet
got
that came
Nexus.
out. They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which worked with Herman on Killzone Shadowfall. They helped them get that ready for release.
Blue Point is
Back in the
insisting
PlayStation
they're
4.
still independent.
Okay.
Interesting.
But there was an image, there was a tweet
So
that
they-
somebody grabbed where they made the announcement for Housemarque, but put Blue Point's logo
Because it was
in there.
Sony
And
that
everyone was
actually
like,
did that.
So
Yeah.
in Japan,
Yeah.
and had Bloodborne or whatever. Or not
Oh,
Bloodborne,
Demon
or
Souls.
Demon Souls image. Sorry.
Oh, it's because they're saving the announcement until they showed their Metal Gear
There we
remake.
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Metal Gear remake or Bloodborne remake? One of the two.
I've heard
What are all the
rumors.
Blue Points rumors.
Well, I heard rumors about a Bloodborne thing because, like, last week or earlier this week, both Bloodborne and Ghost of Tsushima lost their only on PlayStation logo on their cover art. So
no.
people were like,
Here
people
we
were
go.
thinking like, oh, PC versions for both. Like, who knows? Blah blah blah.
And that's where I think Nixus might actually be being used. Like they
Yes,
they
Blood.
could be
They could be
making
porting.
that Bloodborne version.
Yeah.
Because historically, like they have been more on the technical side of things and doing a lot of PC versions of Square Enix titles. I know they did Deus Ex: Human Revolution.
Yeah, they
I
did.
think they may have also done Mankind Divided and potentially some of the Tomb Raider stuff. So I think that makes it an interesting pull as we're seeing Sony putting games on a
Yeah,
PC.
maybe they'll just be doing it more often now, like a year later or something for all their games, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Do you think there was like a unit sold marker that they were waiting for Housemarque? It just seems it's such a particular amount of time
Maybe.
after Returnal that
It
they were
could have
just
been.
like, oh, you're almost there. Okay, we'll buy you.
I think I don't know. I think that this talk had to have been
Oh,
in the works before then, so we're
For a
just
long
now
time.
finding out about it, kind of thing.
I'm sure it doing well though probably helped a lot. I mean, they've had a close relationship with Sony for a long time.
Yeah,
A lot of their games, but
but at the same time, as we've seen in the last gen, they started struggling,
yes,
and so I think it was probably they were put in one of those hard positions of okay, now we're going to go from making our small little arcade games to like investing a lot of money in big budget titles. And the freaking Battle Royale thing, which hopefully is going to get canned.
oh, I think that's done.
Please-
I hope
please
so.
kill that.
Yeah,
I'm sure that sucked up a lot of their resources, though, as being, kind of a smaller development team. And then they also had Returnal, which they just kind of like, hey, I think this is the thing. We should all just focus on this and make this really good. And I think, obviously, it's paying off.
Something crossed my mind. Do you think that there's any element of Sony playing catch up because Microsoft is buying up developers left and right, like little studios? Do you think that Sony's like trying to get a piece of that pie for whatever reason?
I think they have them. I think Xbox is just kind of like more right now, but I think Sony has a little more method to the madness in terms of like you were saying, like I'm bringing these people on to work on a very specific thing.
Right.
But both of them are, they're buying a lot.
Yeah, I think Nixus seems a little bit more random unless we see what they end up. You know, like I said, if we see Bloodborne shown off at State of Play before the end of the summer, then and Nix's name is attached to it. It's like, okay, there's the story. Yeah.
According to VentureBeat, Kojima and Xbox have worked out a deal on a new game.
So that sounds like
there
it's
were rumors about that.
away,
According to VentureBeat, it happened. They signed it. We will see. Konami has officially announced that it's partnering with Bloober Team, Layers of Fear, and Blair Witch. That was also a rumor. But
Wait,
they have
the Kojima thing, they signed it? No, I thought there's still like some weird behind the scenes.
I think they said they came to like an agreement or something.
There's a step that's been taken, but it's now the lawyers are
It's
looking
like a letter of
over
intent,
it.
I think.
Yeah.
They want to work with each other. But again, that's not coming from them. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster launches this month.
We're just gonna skip over the Bloober Team thing.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
He cut me off. I thought we were done.
Yeah, we're done.
Well, this was rumored, though. The rumors of Bloober Team. There's rumors a lot of people are working with Konami on all sorts of different weird things. But
well, the statement from Konami that I saw was that like we want Bloober Team to keep working on their own stuff, their own IP, but maybe in the future there'd be opportunities. And I was just like, what? Like what?
They did bring up like their own existing IP catalog.
This is the Medium people, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe what that is referring to is that they're doing a publishing agreement. They're not, exclusively going to be working with Konami. So I don't think that like counts out Silent Hill or anything like that.
Well, it was just weird that they said like their IP or whatever,
right?
Not Konami's IP.
Yeah, I to me it would be odd for Konami to work with them and not use
I don't envy whoever's writing those press releases.
Yeah.
It's like,
and we already had weird things with
Akira
Yamaoka hinting at the next one's the one you've been waiting for. And so it seems like this is just the public face of some talks that have been happening for a little while.
Keeley will straighten it all out. We'll get the last 14 days of Silent Hill whatever when it comes out.
We're gonna have 15 Silent Hill games announced before the end of next year.
Oh my god!
Hey,
it's the only way all these.
Some of those got to be good.
No, they don't.
Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster launches this month. The whole package is over $70 on Steam.
6 games.
So no. I think
there's a bundle.
1, 2,
on
and
Steam.
1, 2, and 3 are coming out on July 28th.
Okay.
I believe 4, 5, and 6 are sometime later.
Got it.
Yeah, and they're all separate. They're being sold individually for like
there is a bundle,
$99 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bundle for all of them.
And they're delisting the old Final Fantasy 5 and 6 the older Steam versions are gone
like
now.
the
They're going away.
ones?
They're going bye-bye.
Oh, okay. But they're keeping like
those
the
bad
3DS remakes?
The 3D ones will stay.
Oh, okay.
We haven't learned a lot about the Intellivision Amico, and Ars Technica reported on it. Stuff that was posted on the official Intellivision Amico website that was later taken down. And Ars Technica was like, hey, look at the stuff they put on their website. And Tommy Tallarico did not like that. He got very upset at them, threatened legal action on Twitter for that person copying and pasting stuff that was on Tommy Tallarico's website. So that'll be interesting to see. He's deleted some of those tweets now.
He didn't even get it from the website itself. He got it from the archive.org. But
correct, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But they got that from.
There's a lot of nonsense going on with that. So just go check that out.
The Intellivision Amico is going to be an interesting thing coming up to launch.
It will not be an interesting thing.
Interesting things that are bad can be interesting.
I don't think it will.
That
be
is
interesting.
Bloodstone.
Damn.
I'll make a note.
Everything, the 10 Commandments of the Intellivision or whatever, like it's
surprise.
Specifically preventing that from being interesting.
For anyone expecting BioWare to be at EA Play, they will not. No Dragon Age, no Mass Effect, no BioWare at all at EA Play.
What the hell are they doing over there, man?
They're
having
having
a good
an
time.
identity crisis.
They're taking their
That's
time.
what they're having.
They're taking their time.
Yeah.
It is time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
Sounding good, Rufus. David McKilligan. I was having a think the other day about free-to-play games now that Halo Infinite multiplayer has taken a jump to an FTP system. I commend the way they're approaching permanent season passes and the ability to only gain rewards in one way. It had me wondering, though. It could be open to much larger player bases and giving the developer income through season passes to continue support for longer periods of time. I personally can see this fitting Gears of War well. Hell, bring back the Assassin's Creed multiplayer mode under the format. Would you guys be a fan of other series separating the multiplayer to a free-to-play experience? If so, what games?
I think Gears of War is a pretty good pick.
Yeah, Gears is definitely the one that makes
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially because all their games are on Game Pass now, day one, so I don't see why not.
Well, it's also one of those things where it kind of becomes like a jumping in point for people. You know, if they're gonna check out the multiplayer game and they like it, and then they want to play the single player campaign or whatever, it's like, oh, I'll get the $1 for 3-month Game Pass, whatever. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed multiplayer. That's funny. I feel like they could do that way better nowadays. It's such a cool concept. Do you remember it? The multiplayer. Trying to find out who's an assassin and stuff. It's always a little too clunky for me. I think those games, but maybe they could smooth it out now. I don't know about like a season pass for a game like that. It seems a little much.
Right. Yeah, to me, it feels like it fits something better that is just it's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah, I think Gears is a good pick.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of these have already spun off and done this already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Call of Duty's got Warzone going on.
Which I was surprised. I mean, they did other battle royale efforts before they got to Warzone, but I was like, why don't they just do
Battlefield
their
just
own
cut the
separate
campaign.
thing?
Yeah,
it looks like
It's not free to play or anything.
yeah, but maybe at some point it does.
I don't think
you
Call
know.
of Duty will do it yet because they have Warzone already. Just
I mean, the
free.
problem with Call of Duty is they have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they have another cake on top of that.
Yeah, mobile
so
cake.
much cake.
So it's like they're selling their $60 game. They're doing free-to-play Warzone and making money off of that. And they've got Call of Duty Mobile doing gangbusters. Like, they're not losing. No matter how bad one of their games might be, they still don't lose.
You know what's interesting is like they had a Skylander show for a while on Netflix, and then like that was it. Like all those like as much as Activision likes to make money, I was surprised they dipped their toe into that and pulled it out real quick. Andreas Kleinfaus, what developer has the caliber to release a rare replay type game? I think Konami could have a great collection spanning multiple generations if they cared to look back.
Capcom.
Well, Konami actually did sort of...
They had collections.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it wasn't actually Konami's brand, but they did the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, which came out at the worst time, so it got kind of lost in the shuffle. But yeah, that was a neat way to go back and check out all that stuff. Nice. And it's it would be cool for them to make a digital version of that essentially. Just take all of that stuff that was there and that emulation and like find a way to make that packageable and downloadable onto a console or a PC.
I think about Capcom, but there's so many damn games. I don't remember how many games are in Rare Replay, but it's like 10, 15, 20? I don't remember.
Oh, no, I think it's like more than 20.
A lot of their games that they could legally get.
Including a lot of crazy old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Be fun now that LucasArts went away and now is back being Lucasfilm Games. Be fun to get the first 10 years of that company. And I've seen those before on PC a lot. Packagings of stuff. I know like the X-Wing had a big package.
I've terribly purchased the Day of the Tentacle remastered and never played it.
Right.
Because I was a Maniac Mansion fan, but by the time Day of the Tentacle came out, we weren't upgrading PCs.
But the interviews and a lot of behind the scenes stuff was really fun at Rare Replay as well, and just how they packaged it. It's very
Did
pretty.
they get all those old school Disney cartoon games already in that collection, or there's some they missed? Maybe
I mean, they didn't have like the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin and stuff. I know.
Did like a couple.
Yeah.
At most.
They've done like small little piecemeal.
Yeah.
Everybody got to experience Lion King. That's all that matters.
But yeah,
Got to see how
they did the Disney Afternoon Collection.
Yeah, but that was only
Capcom.
NES games. There's no Super Nintendo games that I'm far as I'm aware of.
Just a lot of games.
All those TIE Fighter games and stuff would be sick though, Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, so many like older games, but they're not like enough to make a catalog.
Yeah, a lot of that PC stuff is out there.
What
It's just not bundled together.
What were they called again before they were Rockstar or whatever?
DMA design?
Yeah, like they didn't have enough games like an N64.
Oh,
like,
no,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
almost like maybe like an obscure N64
Those games
collection.
aren't actually
Yeah,
good
like-
either. So
Yeah.
It's
Like
like
London's a
Harvest
little
is-
hard to get, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like here, obscure.
I do like Space Station Silicon Valley. That'd be a funny
Yeah.
one for them to bring back.
I'd get a Zork package.
Nice.
All the Zorks.
I would actually like a Naughty Dog one when I think about all the Crash games and Jack and Daxter, Uncharted. There's a lot of games, man. Even if it's just like some of the older games, the collection.
That would be funny from like a Journey standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, just to have them have a spot if they were interviewed, to talk about like why they specifically those, because it's a fascinating. It's been fascinating following that company. 'Cause I love all of those games and seeing them being like, cool, we made this thing we really care about. All right, next thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, what happened to that old? Like they
Right.
really can just put something on the back burner and create something totally new. That made Uncharted 4 kind of have weight to it. I was like, oh, maybe this is the end. Like maybe they're totally done with this.
Yeah, Namco and Capcom and Konami, they've done arcade classics things several times, but I don't feel like they've ever really leaned in and tried to do something that expands like their entire history. So that would be interesting to have a game that has, not only like a Mega Man title on it, but then like also like Zack and Wiki from the Wii era,
Oh my
or,
god!
just like
just give me Zack and Wiki on anything. For God's sake.
and Ghost Trick and
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ghost Trick came to mobile, didn't it?
Yes.
yes, you
Did,
can play that on iTunes.
Has there ever
again.
been like a
I
Taito
think
collection?
free to play even.
Like their arcade stuff? The Square Enix arcade branch.
I know they've done some things with Space Invaders. but
Yeah, I know
for sure.
Space Invaders is huge. But like, let's bring back like Airgites and yeah, let's get those collection
boy.
of those games. The Bouncer.
Who did Mr. Mosquito? It's great to have that thing back again.
Just give me a retro collection, so I can just get Prime on something modern.
It is time for bets. Next week's bet, as of tonight, when we're recording this podcast, granted right before we recorded the podcast, I checked A Plague Tale on Twitter, one word. That is the Twitter account for the A Plague Tale franchise. They currently have 23,677 followers on Twitter. On July 6th, A Plague Tale Innocence launches on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch. And it is also one of July's PlayStation Plus games. How many Twitter followers will they have when we record the podcast next week? Brad Ellis.
Sorry, you said they had 23,000?
23,667.
I'd say 27,000.
All right. Michael Damiani.
25,000.
Isla Hink.
What order are you going in, man?
It's the other team.
Yeah.
You're
I
the
gotta
last
know-
member of their team.
I gotta know where I'm cutting to. All right, 23,814.
Okay. Daniel Bloodworth.
24,419.
23,888, which I think is the low.
I'm the low.
You're the low?
I said 23,814.
No. Who knows? But I like that. Those I was happened to just juggle around those 5 digits and see what we came up with. I was expecting some higher numbers with this bet. It's been insulted, I'm not afraid to say. This week's bet, Mario Golf Super Rush launched last week when we recorded the podcast. Today, blindfolded, as the character Mario, I made a shot from the first hole of the first course. I wanted to know, how far would that shot go? I told the group the first Mario shot in the Nintendo Treehouse presentation went 229 yards. Michael Huber bet 0. He said I would botch it. Isla Hink also said I would botch it. Michael Damiani, thank you very much, with the second highest bet 120 yards. Daniel Bloodworth, who also doesn't believe in my Mario Golf skills, bet a measly 88 yards. I confidently bet 199 yards. Now, I had never played this game before, and I took the Switch console camping, and I was like, all right, let's check out golf. And a giant smile on my face hit when I went on the first course and went, oh, man, I'm winning this bet. I hit that 219 yards. Easy. Giving me the win. Bringing our scores to Jovial Penguins 15.
Wow.
Are you bummed?
I
Are you bummed that
forgot.
I hit it
I
219?
forgot to pull up a quote.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Good first game.
Batman.
Perfect.
Vociferous Beavers 13.
Nom 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 nom.
coming on back. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies because I don't know if I got the shout outs.
Oh.
Do we figure those out? Because it's the second.
Well, today's the first.
Well, today's, yeah.
Yeah, so unfortunately the charges had not cleared.
Oh, so I'll do last month's shout outs. It's tough because we're right on the edge. That shout out tier I want to talk about.
Sorry.
This is a $250 tier at patreon.com/easyallies. This is essentially, we went with we upgraded with our sponsor system. And then a lot of the people who, were giving us high sponsorship levels on Patreon wanted to make sure that they had a place we could shout them out on all of our different podcasts. But these are names that you might recognize, names that you see come up on a regular basis on the show. And I just want to, other than the shout out that we're directly doing, say thank you so much to these people who are at the very top of our Patreon tiers. But there's lots of tiers. The very bottom of that is $1, and you get a lot of cool stuff for just $1. So patreon.com/easyallies, check it out. And a shout out to these people. Don't have to do an order. We can just roll right into it. Shout out to Blue, Caleb Togi Crawford, Edsker, So I'm a Spider, So What, El Fanis, Esdocal, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Jesse Blue, and Nick. Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout
Thanks
out.
for the order.
But yeah, that works, right? When I do it first, then it goes that.
I didn't know.
Have you not been on the podcast since we did?
He is not.
I
He's
was on the
not.
first one, but I don't know if it did that.
That first one was a sweaty mess.
It was.
I don't expect
Forgive
you
me.
to remember.
It was literally 92 degrees in there that time.
Woo. Well, nice and cool now, winning this bet and winning this podcast. I get to pick any Easy Allies video I'd like to promote. I get the final word on anything I disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into my head. And I get to sign off with my trademark sign-off. Well, there really is only one video to promote, and that is our last spoiler mode that we did. With Maximilian Dude joined us for the sequel, the continued conversation of Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, a game I have not played, a video I was not on. And I'm not going to check out that video until I play that DLC, until I finally get caught up on all that stuff. But Max has been very good to us, and Max certainly can come in with a lot of big ideas. Max has got a big Final Fantasy VII brain. It was nice for him to join us again for that. So please check that out if you are a patron of Easy Allies, and if you have played that, unless you want to spoil yourself. My final word will be this. This podcast went on a lot longer than I expected, and if it's too long for you, I apologize. Cheers. Kitaria, meow meow.
Do you hear that? If you're listening, please make that. I want that.
Whacking the toes and all that.
So let's get an official vote. Is the rookie course the first? I said the first course. Is that the rookie course or Bonnie Green's, like the actual?
I haven't even played this yet. I have no idea.
I
What do you
think
think?
rookie.
Rookie? Damiani, what do you think?
What?
Rookie course or Bonnie Green's is the first course. For the bet last week, I said it was the first course. What do you think?
It's
Yeah,
the first on the list. It's the first on the list.
Yeah,
So it's
first
got to
on
be
the
that
list.
one. Yeah.
You can only do 3 holes. Fine.
Let
Only
me
doing
get
one.
like a over the shoulder kind of thing.
Just get it all lined up. I got my blindfold here.
Oh,
You gotta test.
blindfold.
Okay. You gonna test? There's no way I can see anything right now.
Okay.
All right?
How many fingers am I holding up?
I don't know. I can barely hear that because it's covering my ears too. All right. I can barely hear it too. I gotta listen. Okay.
Wow, wow, wow. Jeez.
You got it like right on the line.
Oh, it's not gonna make it on the fairway. Oh, it is on the fairway. 219, baby. That's a bet.
Not winning that one.